There's zero reason why you would leave a bunch of automated drones or tanks on with full brain power when not actively engaged in combat. There's zero reason why they need any capacity for philosophy or resentment, and no reason why they should magically acquire these, any more than a worker bee in a hive. I emphasize that because I said a moment ago that even a modest mix of better and renewable energy combined with better production automation and better smart logistics is the most obvious path to post-scarcity for us in the near future. If we decide we are ultra terrified of robots and simple AI, that might be a harder path to reach. Tomorrow someone could pull off a production chain for solar panels, from resource extraction to installation and connection to a home, that managed to make those just 50% cheaper per kilowatt hour produced than today. That really isn't much of a leap, at least in comparison to the progress already made. At that point, you don't necessarily even need electric cars, because we can make hydrocarbons, like the kind your car burns, and which makes CO2 and water vapor in the process, by just reversing that by the Sabatier process, and this is carbon-neutral gasoline at that point. All factors included, it takes about 4 times as much juice to make a gallon of gasoline as you get when burning it, but that only matters when there's a direct connection to cost. If you got a 1,000-watt solar panel that generally produces about 5 kilowatt hours a day, then at a 4-to-1 conversion ratio, it can produce a little over a gallon of gasoline a month, or 340 gallons over 25 years of operation. If that cost you $1,000 to install and maintain over that period, well, you're paying $3 a gallon for carbon-neutral gasoline, and it's at your home. Go a bit lower, $100 for a panel, and now you're filling your car's tank for a few bucks instead. Though in all probability, if that were a home affair, you'd be using the excess energy from running your home power grid during peak hours to charge batteries for the evening and to make fuel, probably for a hybrid car running on batteries and hydrocarbons. Sounds great, and it could be. Production of methane or gasoline or even diesel made cheap, carbon neutral, and renewable for the next 4 billion years. Practically speaking, though, pumping existing oil out of the ground is cheaper than maintaining a bunch of solar panels and associated machines to produce fuel. I cannot imagine how that could actually change either. Last I heard, it generally costs $10 or $12 a barrel to produce oil in the Middle East, depending on the country and other details, or about a quarter for a gallon of raw crude oil. It's more than double that in the US, with the difference in labor costs and such, but automation that improves solar power production probably improves oil pumping too. However, what it costs to pump the stuff is not what it costs to buy the stuff at the gas station, obviously, when the cost is scaling up 1,000% to 3,000% on its way from the oil barrel through refineries and shipping and taxing to your car. So it is possible to make gasoline from solar power cheaper than it is at the pump right now, with only slightly better solar. But at the same time, I have to assume all those improvements could help existing fossil fuel production, and more importantly, the producers can just cut the cost in a number of ways. It is entirely possible that automation might make it only cost $5 a barrel to pump, and at that point it's still worth doing if you can only sell it for $6. Indeed, that's a nice 20% profit margin there. Why that's relevant is that I could easily imagine prices seesawing around, and also that I do expect us to inevitably pump every last drop of readily available hydrocarbons, so sequestering technology is still a plus. Without jumping into geopolitics, I can think of some obvious motivations and strategies for screwing with the cost to make the development of that much slower and bumpier. So we might see a cool new widget come out that lets you make a few gallons of gas a week at your home in your own personal tank for around what gas costs now, then see the price drop on it below that. Things like that could apply to a lot of other techs and wants and needs humanity has, and, in that way, interfering with how these methods or technologies develop could be seen as preventing or delaying post-scarcity on it. A rebuttal would probably be that in the end, a price war on ever-cheaper energy is merely delaying that, not preventing it. And furthermore, one could argue it gives those places that are supplying the fuel all of the resources, motivation, and time they could reasonably need to develop into other economic sectors. This episode isn't about why solar is cool. We've pitched the same line of reasoning about nuclear fission and fusion before too, same with batteries or molten salts over artificially synthesized chemical fuels. It's the notion that an existing supplier of a want or need isn't really motivated to assist in their own replacement, and that it honestly isn't that hard to push back at a new technology to make folks nervous about it, nuclear being one example, and automation artificial intelligence being two others. Such
But
being the case, I
yeah,
could see
when it comes
post-scarcity
to real
languishing
estate
out
and
of reach.
tokenizations,
Once
it's a
more, we
huge
must remember
it's a
this
huge
isn't just
topic.
a
It's a
single
huge thing to talk
category,
about
and we
because
specifically
there's
say
so many
energy
different
abundance
aspects
and
to
better
it.
automation
I
make us
think
post-scarcity
though
because it
with
lets us
AI
manage so many of
and a
those
lot of
basic
drones and
needs.
robotics, I think
Maslow's
there's going
hierarchy,
to be a
which
lot
has
of
its
other
pros and
problems that'll be
cons as a
solved.
model, but again works
That
for today's
blockchain, I don't think
discussion, has a pyramid of needs
does a
going
good
up from
job in
physiological ones
solving
like
itself. And
air,
go ahead,
food,
Costa. You
sleep,
don't
and
even have to
water,
raise your hand.
through to
There's
safety
not
needs
many of us
above
in here right now.
physiological, then love and
But thank
belonging
you.
Yeah, but
needs like friendship,
you were in the
then
process of
esteem,
talking, so I
then
didn't want to interrupt you.
self-actualization.
But
Nobody
I was
really
kind of
debates
reading
that
up on
basic
this Check
structural
Amendment that
needs,
just
but
went
some
live
models
today,
have
right?
more
It said
levels and move certain
27
things around,
out of the
like
34
reproduction is
validated
down in
voted
physiological
for it.
needs, while
And
intimacy
one
is
of
up
the
in
articles
love
I
and
was
belonging.
reading,
But
and I
unlike
probably need to
air
just
and
go
water
to the
and
XRP
food,
scan and
you
look for
can
myself,
go
but I just read
indefinitely
it.
without personally
Said that
reproducing,
basically
whereas
Ripple
lack of
voted no,
intimacy
right?
or
But it still
friendship
went through
can be
because
way
there were
worse
enough
on the
other validators
individual
who
and
wanted
pretty
it.
bad
So
even in the relatively
if I
short
can
term.
verify that, I think it'd be
We
a
are
very
obviously
significant
using the
thing
framework of
for us
the
to
hierarchy in our
publish
discussion
and
of
talk about in this
post-scarcity.
community
Those
because
basic lower level
for the
needs
second
still
time, I
need to be
believe,
met, but what
and it's
goes
very
where and gets
significant.
labeled which doesn't
It is
matter to
proven
us.
that the ledger is
Rather, it's a
absolutely
checklist, some which
decentralizing
are more basic and higher priority.
in the
That
context of
means a
Ripple, right?
post-scarcity
Because if
civilization
they
would
can
need
make
to
changes
provide
to
for
this
those higher
ledger
level needs like respect and
in a
status and love
opposition
in
to
order
what
for it
Ripple
to
may be
truly
thinking, that
be
is a very big
post-scarcity.
deal. So
And this is a good place to emphasize
I'm
that
a
such a
little bit too busy
civilization
to
does not
try
have
to
to
jump
have
on the
all
scan
needs being
now, but
something
if I can
state
verify that, I
provided.
think it's
People who
huge,
might
and
pay a lot
we
of
need
money
to be celebrating
voluntarily
that.
to use a dating service whose AI is amazingly good at matching you to your
Oh,
soulmate might be horrified at the government having
because
a
you
dating
actually voted
service
yay
even
or
if it
nay
was
for it.
entirely voluntary.
Yeah, because
As
on the
usual on the
XRP
show,
scan
for neutrality's sake,
website,
we
they
don't
know
really
when you
care
go to
where the
the
food on
amendments, it
people's
shows you
table
who
came
voted
from,
what.
nor how they
So it
got the
should be easy
friends
to
and families
verify.
sharing it
I
with
just
them.
don't have access
Capitalists,
right now.
socialists, communists, anarchists, free citizens, or super tyrants, etc. Just that we would like that abundance and the
Yeah,
technology
I'm
that
not sure if
provides
it's
the
real time
option,
updating, but I'll
or
check. Keep
sometimes a
going.
facsimile of the option. Generally
Wow,
speaking,
Kashta,
if you've gotten
Kashta,
abundance
can
of
you imagine,
fuel
like,
for the
scams,
system,
like, what
be
people
that
did? They
energy
actually
or
said,
food or
I saw
robots or
that,
all of the
that
above, you're very
Ripple
well
voted
positioned
no,
to
and it
address
still went
many of
through.
the
That really,
others.
like, kind of debunks his
So let's
whole
close by
theory.
discussing a number of
Well,
non-obvious wants and
there
needs
have been
and
other
some
amendments
technological
that have
options for
passed
satisfying them,
that Ripple had
as well
voted
as some
nay that
potential
passed.
implications or
I did not
complications.
realize that.
For instance, this
Yeah, that's
show
why I
is
said
family
second time,
friendly,
'cause I
so we
believe it's the
don't
second
dwell on
time
the
if
use
at a
of virtual
minimum.
reality
But
or
your point
human
still stands.
passable
Like, yeah, if he
androids
was
for
any kind of
satisfying human
man with
intimacy
integrity,
needs,
right?
even of those whose
He would just
appearance or
simply say, hey, look,
personality makes that
at least there's
challenging
one
for them.
example that
I'm sure
it,
everyone can
it's
fill in the
actually
blanks on
decentralized,
that,
right?
and your
and
mileage
returned a
may
lot of
vary
his
from
previous
revulsion to
criticism. So
humor and many points in
maybe he'll show
between.
up in one of these rooms
Leaving
and
that
be
specific
mad
bit
enough
aside,
with enough
virtual
integrity to
reality
do that
does
or
give us the
not. We'll
option
see.
to run our own kingdom or be the boss. And if it were well simulated, it might actually produce good leaders and team players rather than a billion petty tyrants or adolescent fantasies. I also expect most folks would find real power or leadership terribly disappointing, at least if it was realistic. There's an episode of Rick and Morty where they have a sliding realism control on a video game and find out how tedious and boring setting the realism to high really is, especially for exploring asteroid belts and deep space. Virtual reality itself was a technology that never lived up to the hype it got in the 1990s, though it has finally seen some real advancement more than a generation later. But in between, we've got the internet and smartphone apps and social media. Most of us have seen a few jump levels of technology in our lifetimes that have been met with fears of abuse or addiction, particularly with video games, the internet, and social media. And for my own part, I think those fears were not baseless, but also often overhyped, and for some more than others. The simple answer then is, we do not know yet how VR or some other awesome new technology that might help with more social needs might affect society in a practical sense, or how it might be perceived, which matters just as much. Folks might decide that as awesome as online simulated worlds are for letting folks experiencing being a comic book hero or world leader or rock star, the perceived cost is too high, and they bust the devices up or even prevent their deployment beyond a certain point. And if half your population lives all day in VR, and the other half doesn't, or mostly doesn't, the latter is in a better position to dictate what's going on in the real world, since it's where they're spending their time. VR and simulation is usually the big one for satisfying higher needs, and my guess is that we will achieve a happy medium that permits utilizing these in a mostly helpful way, but it's also not the only option, and I do like options.
speculating
Before
on what
COVID, I
happened, and
used
then
to
you
say
can
that one of the things I
formulate your
most
opinion.
loved about
Okay.
my civilization was I could
Yeah,
go to
so
Walmart
essentially in
at
that
3 in the morning
situation,
and choose from 100 different types
the
of cereal.
FTSOs get
And it
reward
didn't
from the
matter that I would
delegation
get the
process,
same one I
right?
always do. I
And the
had that
delegation
option, and it
process
was
was
my
going
analogy
on
for where I
before
thought
the reward
civilization should
system
generally
actually
be
started
aiming when it
paying out
came to
rewards
needs
because
and
they're running the
services.
tokens.
I find it
So
darkly amusing that
basically,
among
to
all the rough
thank
patches
the
we've all endured in the last
FTSOs
few
for
years, the
doing
end of an
all the
abundance
work
of
that they were
all-night big
doing
box stores
to
and
launch the
returning to having
network, because it took
operating
them
hours
to
more like they
be
were when I was a
participating in
kid
order to have a
is what
functional
offends
network.
and bugs me the most.
Think of them kind of analogous to
Space
miners,
colonization is
right?
another of those
And so they
options
had
for
been
people
doing
to
all this
achieve an
work with
outlet
no
for
rewards because
creativity
the reward
and
system
forging
wasn't
new
live.
worlds that VR
To
might
compensate
otherwise
them for
solve.
that, Hugo
And
decided
I
that
don't
he
think
would
that
give
one
them some
existing
flair
prevents the
to
other
make up for
either.
that lack of,
Similarly,
rewards
simply
that
being
they
baseline post-scarcity
were
with an
not
abundance
getting,
of
as
food and
well as,
air and water and
thank you
shelter
for
mostly
their
solves the entire
participation in,
second-tier need of
building the
safety and
network and being
security
core
of
to
your
its
body, employment,
functionality.
resources,
So he
family,
gave
and
them the
property.
tokens one
You're
day
just not
before
really
the
needing to
token
worry that you or
distribution
your
event
family
went
might
live,
starve to death
but
next
under
year
the
or live in a hovel.
understanding that there
But
was no
abundance
way
doesn't
for him
remove
to sell
fears
them
of the
because
body declining or
no
growing ill.
exchange
Having
had
$1
flared,
billion won't save you
and there
from
was no
cancer,
deposits
as Steve
opened and
Jobs or
deposited any
Paul Allen or
actual
a host of
flair.
others
And so
demonstrate.
he was
But
under
it
the
does let
assumption
you
that,
fund a lot
as
of
soon as it went
R&D for
live, they'd be able
treatment
to sell,
and
do whatever
offer a
they
lot of
wanted to
better
do with them.
palliative care than most
Unbeknownst to
humans
him,
historically got.
BitTrue decided
Nonetheless,
that they
there's
were
no
going to
guarantee we will
allow
get real
deposits
fixes for some
early.
categories of
And
potential
so the
post-scarcity.
FTSOs
That's
discovered
not
that,
simply
or I say
disease
some
either, which science
FTSOs
is likely to
discovered that
cure the
and
majority
decided
of,
that they
if
would
not all,
deposit and
given
sell their
time.
coins early,
But that
right?
desire for
So
friendship or
essentially,
talent may never
that's
be
what
truly
took place.
realized
So
for all.
I'm a little
Here too, we
disappointed
might
in
have
the
artificial
FTSOs
intelligence
who
on
exploited
social
that
media to help
situation.
guide us to those
I
most likely
don't
to share
personally
our
blame,
interests and have
Hugo for it.
complementary
Everyone else
personalities
is
to befriend.
free to have their own
We may
opinion
get
about it.
educational
But I
technologies
do
that make it far easier
definitely
to learn
blame the
skills, so
FTSOs
that
for
anyone
taking
can be a
advantage of that
virtuoso or
situation.
master
So,
craftsman.
the only
Though
thing
if
that I can
everyone
do
is
at this
awesome,
point
some might
is
argue
make
no
sure
one
that I'm
is.
not delegating to any
Consider
of those
self-esteem, which
parties
itself
who
is a trait
did
or
actually
concept that is
take
hard to
advantage of that
define
situation,
and is
and I think we
disputed
all
even
should be
among
doing the same or
psychologists.
consider doing the
While it
same.
is about ourselves,
And
it
beyond
tends to be
that,
heavily influenced by the
Hugo
world
is
around
now
us,
putting together
and
an
thus might be
FTSO
influenced by
committee,
existence in a
so
virtual
that
wall, or
these
helping to
FTOs can have
terraform
some
and
kind
build
of
some new world
self-regulatory
far from
body
off.
with
And many
penalties
might wonder if the former might
that
be
can be
inherently less
instituted upon
satisfying
any
than
of
the
the
latter.
FTSOs
We joked
that are
earlier
caught
about
engaging in any
post-discontent
nefarious
societies,
activity.
ones where
So that's
people
the
lived
best
in
that I can
slums
describe
but
what
felt great
happened.
about it.
If
But
anyone,
that's
if
specifically
you
the
or
notion
anyone
of
else
some
has any questions, I'll
civilization
do my
drugging
best to
or
answer.
brainwashing its people into submission. We
No, that
discussed that
pretty
more in
much
its own
answered it. I
episode,
mean, it
but our
doesn't
dismissal
still
of
change my point
post-discontent
of view of
tricks
how
as
the
not being
network's going to
true
grow or anything
post-scarcity
like
does
that.
not really
So,
address or
but I do
invalidate the
appreciate
idea of
your
careful
response,
and
and
expert
yeah,
use
you
of
did fill me in
antidepressants, for
because
instance,
I'm
or
just seeing
people being
everything
taught to
coming
rise
left and
above
right.
the strictly
I couldn't
material
really
and be far more
gather
aesthetic.
some clear
The line
thoughts
is
of what's
gray
going
between
on, but
over-medication and
like I said,
healthy
it
use of
doesn't
medication,
impact
as
how
is
I
the line
feel
between teaching
moving
and
forward.
indoctrination.
Yeah,
However,
I'll keep a
I think a
lookout
part of reaching
as to
post-scarcity is
who
essentially not to
who
cross that
took advantage
line
of that
in
as
favor of
well.
helping people to stop craving some
But it
things
just
or
seems
do so
like,
in a more healthy
and
fashion.
like I said, it's
Which
okay to
is better?
question
For
Flair,
someone who
question
grew up
anything.
afraid of where the
It
next
just seems
meals
like
will
as
come
soon
from,
as
to have a
Flair
basement full of
dropped,
canned
there's
goods
been
and packed
so
freezers,
many issues with
or,
the
as a result of
proposal,
a
so
sturdy
many
supply chain, for
FTOs.
them
It's
to
like
have
it's coming
confidence that a much smaller
one
personal
after the
supply
other.
was sufficient, and for that to
And
be a
I'm
justified
just seeing a
confidence
lot of
rather
it,
than a
and I'm
false
sorry, I'm
one.
just kind
This
of
is
going
more of
back
the
to even
notion
the
expressed in the
proposal.
Roddenberry
I'm seeing a
ideal
lot
on
of it
display
come
in
from
Star
just like
Trek,
this
where
buy
they
sell
also had
mentality
replicators to
versus
make any
actually
basic
growing
need
the
and
network
fusion reactors to
using
power
EFS
them.
as the layer
Post-scarcity
capability,
in
bandwidth.
Trek was
Like
often
I don't
poorly
see
written or
enough people
expressed, but at least as a
talking
basic concept, it
about
held
it
that
from that
mankind would rise
perspective
above the selfish and
versus just the
materialistic
buy
to
sell.
focus on higher
Oh, it
ideals
dropped
and
in price, dropped in
cooperation,
value,
and
buy
that
safe.
material abundance
And
would
that's
aid
kind of
this
where
in
I'm
many
coming from.
ways,
So
Man,
often
let
by
me tell
simply
you,
preventing
I need to
children
give you a
having
big
those
clap, but my phone
deprivations
doesn't
or
do that right, so I
anxieties
can't add the
during their
sound
formative
effect.
phases that
But you
can
hit the
develop
nail on
into
the head as far as as I'm concerned. Like,
And that's
you
not just
sound
the
like a
notion of
mature
acquiring things for
man,
things' sake,
right?
but
Who's not
also
looking at this
maturing
in
to
the
not need
context
lots of
of
praise
a
from
boyish
others, or to
attitude,
be the
right?
nicest
And
dressed or
you're
best
seeing it the
looking or
same way that I
smartest
see it,
person in the
right?
room, and so
And I had
on.
the privilege of
And
speaking
obviously,
with
that is one of
Hugo
those hard to
on
express
one
and
of these
debatable
spaces. It's
things,
kind of the same
since
thing I
most of
see
us
it. Like,
approve of
you know,
healthy
the
ambition and
conversation should be
drive,
about
and which
growing
particular
the network at
expressions and
this point,
outlets
right?
for that we think
Encouraging
are
these other
okay okay or
communities
even
that have been
admirable
that have been
versus
integrated
those
into
we
Flare
detest is
to
often
bring those
pretty
assets
subjective.
over, take advantage of the
For instance,
functionality,
I am
and let's
obviously
grow
very
the
driven,
network,
and if
right?
you home in on what
Instead,
my
we
own
have a
biggest
bunch of
ambition
people
is,
whining
it is to
over, like you
build
said, which
walls,
ultimately is
but
only
fundamentally
price
merely those
situation,
as the
right?
great stages on
And
which
to the price
civilizations may
situation, the
arise and
reality is the
fulfilling
price
and
was
long
going to be
lives
the
be
price
held.
regardless, right? You're
I'd
so
imagine many
early into a
folks, especially
network.
my own audience, would
Obviously, a
nod
lot of
their head
people were going to
approvingly at
sell,
that goal.
whether those
But it also
FTSOs
isn't
sold
exactly
before or
humble,
after,
and
the
certainly
price is
demands
ultimately
way
going
more
to be
resources
for
than
since
someone whose
as it is
ambition
now
is to live in
anyway.
a house made
And
out
the
of
price is kind
gold
of
or have the
irrelevant
most
until we
attractive body,
start to mature
both
the
of which we
network.
might
So
roll our eyes
yeah,
at.
that's the conversation
Generally, the
that should
notion
be
of
happening
abundance
right
from
now. Not all these
post-scarcity is that such
you know,
ambitions are still
um,
okay. Go have
bickering,
your
right? We
solid
should be
gold
talking
house.
about how
Well,
to
there's
grow the
obviously lines
network
that
and
can't be
any
crossed, and
improvements that
trying
we
to
want
figure
to
out what
see, any
those will
features that we
be
want to
and
see,
who gets to
just all
determine
that kind of
that
stuff, right?
is going
Instead,
to be nearly
it
as
has
big a
been a lot of
challenge
nonsense,
as
and
getting to the abundant state of
obviously,
post-scarcity.
it's coming
And
mostly
the
from the
closing thought
XRP
is that it will
community,
also
and
be a
which kind of
challenge to
tells you that,
maintain post-scarcity,
they
not
all
just
had
to
a
get it.
speculation
As
on
we
what
live
they
in a
could cash
finite
out on,
universe in
and are
space and
disappointed
time
because
and
if they were
resources,
to cash
we
out
may well
now,
find that
they
we
probably
reach
got
basic
$50 or
post-scarcity in
something,
a
right?
few more
So
decades,
they're
and
let
golden
down
age
their
things for several
expectations,
centuries as our
and that's
automation
why I really
allows
don't have
rapid rise
any,
in culture
sympathy
status,
for the
while our
situation, right? Like,
population growth
if you
trails way
coming
behind.
into this with that
So
type of
too, as many of
mentality,
these states
then
of
you deserve to be
post-scarcity
let
can
down
be
and disappointed
contested,
because you
both
came
in
in the
how it
wrong
is
way anyway.
acceptable or
And
genuine
so,
to
yeah,
satisfy
that's
them,
why
or
the
negative
proposal
side
was
effects
actually
on
made, right?
civilization doing so,
We want to
there
reward
might be a
those who are
lot of efforts to
participating in the
knock a given
network
bit of
and not those
post-scarcity
who
down.
decided they don't want to
Indeed, I'd
participate in
imagine
the
one of the most
network. So
common preoccupations
I'm
named
encouraged
modestly
about
post-scarcity
the forward
civilization
direction
would
of the
be
network
talking or
myself, and
arguing over how
everyone else
to
is, of course,
improve our
free to make
score in
their own
some
determination.
category,
But I
or
thank you
why
for
we
your
need to
feedback,
change
brother.
how we do
Oh
it
yeah,
or
and real
stop
quick,
doing it, or how to
I
ensure we
always
maintain
tweet
to stay
after
longer or
everything I
more
say. I
stably.
say either
One thing we
participate
don't
or
lack at
don't.
this time is plenty of
That's
folks
it.
debating ways to
It's
improve
so
society
simple,
or
man.
wreck it. And as we've
Simple,
seen
right?
today,
It's
we're
just like
not
life,
likely to ever
right?
run
The
short
best
on
things
our
in life
supply
are
of
simple.
that,
It's
whether
gonna
we're
stress you out,
post-scarcity
man.
or
Just forget
not.
about it. That's it.
The future will not lack
But
challenges
my
or
thoughts
be
exactly.
boring,
And welcome,
that I'm
welcome up,
pretty
Energy
confident
Tempo
about.
and Bridge.
Still, I'd much rather we tackle those with plenty of
Good
resources
afternoon,
on hand
everyone.
and be
Yeah,
able to
we're
enjoy ourselves while we're at
absolutely
it.
loving this space.
And I think that's
I've
the
really
future
enjoyed the
we'll
discussions,
likely to see,
especially on
and its
Flare.
basic beginnings
I
might
love the
not be too
project, love
far
the team,
away,
and
maybe even
I
already
think we do
here
need
in new
that level
ways.
of
Things may
critical
be hard
talks
now,
on it
but they
sometimes.
war far harder
But
in
yeah,
the
no,
not so
more than
distant
happy to be
past.
here, and
And my
gonna be a little bit
forecast
absent
is
because
that
currently
gray
making pizza
skies are
right
going to
now,
clear
so
up, and
got
even
flour
better
everywhere at
days
the minute.
are ahead.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us while you're making pizza. Oh, so you're making homemade pizza? Yeah, I've
So
got an
as we saw
interesting
today,
recipe
most of the
mix of
paths to
an
a brighter
Italian. It's
post-scarcity
involved
future
vodka and
do rely on
martini,
us
the pizza
becoming
dough
ever better
itself.
with our math,
I'll make an
science,
NFT
and
series
computer
of the food
science.
recipes at
And
some
it is
point
already
in
very
time.
important to have those skills, and will only grow more so
It
as
sounds like
time
you're
goes
busy,
on.
but
To
I
navigate the
guess I got a
modern
quick
world and
question
not
for you if
fall
you care to take
behind,
it on.
you need STEM
I know
skills.
you're a
And our
project
friends
builder,
over at
right? And
Brilliant
so, is
can
there
help you
anything
get better
about
at
Flare
anything from
that you
personal
find
finance to
attractive
career
that you may
goals
want
to
to integrate into
understanding
your own
world-changing tech like AI and
project that you
neural
have?
networks. Brilliant's
Yeah,
visual,
I mean, from our
interactive
side,
approach
there's a
is
lot of things
engaging
that
and
would be
makes
really
STEM
nice, such as
concepts
Flare's sort of
actually stick, with
interoperability.
helpful
If we can
explanations
find a
along the
way of
way that
essentially
never
linking
leave
a
you
lot of
guessing.
the various
Brilliant focuses on
ecosystems
interactive
together,
and
that would be
hands-on
great for
learning
us.
and breaking big important
In a
concepts
much
down
safer
to
way than some
understandable and
existing
interactive
infrastructure
pieces,
out there.
like they do in their Intro to
One of
Algebra
our
lessons
key
or
sort of
Intro to
things we're
Probability.
finding is a lot of
The
artists
best way
are
to learn
graffiti
math,
based, and
science,
joining the
and computer
XRPL
science is
completely
by
is a completely new
interactive problem
experience for them.
solving,
So
with
if we've got a way
thousands
where
of
we could
lessons
essentially
and
augment
more
two
being added
systems,
each month.
that would be
Brilliant can
very
help
nice
you
for
reach
us.
your goals.
But yeah, I mean,
In
in
just
terms of
15
Flare,
minutes a
even on a
day, with
personal level, I
bite-sized
find the
lessons,
entire
you can
concept of
master topics
FPSOs
that you once
so
thought
much more
impossible,
interesting than
be it the
exchange
basics
pod
like
data,
fractions
which
or
is
advanced
open for
topics like
manipulation.
calculus.
So
Learn the
that
core
alone, I think,
concepts
is
so you can help
itself a
pioneer
revolution.
new innovations. options. With
Man, I'm
Brilliant,
so
you
glad
can
to
load
hear
at your own
that
pace,
from a
load
project
on the
developer
go,
point
and
of
learn
view,
a little
right?
something
Because
new
I've
every day.
always said
To
in these
get
spaces
started
and
for
publicly
free,
that that's one
visit
of the biggest value
brilliant.org/isaacarthur
propositions
or
of
click on the
their
link
network,
in the
right?
description, and the
It
first
takes this
200
silo
people will
mentality
get
of
20%
everyone
off
being in their
Brilliant's
own
annual
economy
premium
and brings it
subscription.
all together more one
So
functional
that's it for
economy, right?
today, but
And
this
that's
weekend
huge,
we'll
right?
have
It's
our
like going
mid-month
from,
sci-fi
you know,
Sunday
some
episode,
little
examining the
storefront
possibility
on
we
an
live in a
unbusy
hostile
street
galaxy,
into
and
one
some
of
of
the
the fully paradox
busiest,
solutions discussing that, like
busiest
Dark
malls,
Force
right, in
Theory
the
and
nation,
Berserker
right? And so
Prose.
that
Then
analogy kind
next
of
week we'll
accurately
explore both the
describes
Big
what,
Crunch
you know, a
cosmological
developer
world
should be
and the
wanting,
Omega
right? The
Port,
ability to
along with
interact
options
with those
for
other
eternal
communities without that
intelligence.
unnecessary
Then
friction,
in 2 weeks,
additional
we'll be looking at the
liquidity. It
possibility
should
of
just be a
using
great positive.
asteroids
So I
as
hope other
spaceships, both
developers are
interplanetary
seeing the
and
same thing I'm
interstellar.
seeing.
If you'd like to get alerts when those and other episodes come out, make sure
So
to hit the like,
if we're at the
subscribe,
bottom of the
and
market,
notification
everything's like
buttons.
still 90 to
You can also help support the show on Patreon. And if you want to donate and help in other ways, you can see those options by visiting our website, isaacarthur.net. You can also catch all of SFIA's episodes early and ad-free on our streaming service Nebula at nebula.tv/IsaacArthur. As always, thanks for watching.
Yeah, I'll
Have
touch
a
that.
great
So,
week.
I know we don't like to really speculate on price, but just as far as the health of the network, right? I think the price sitting at $4 is encouraging, right? I think how long assets like the Mirror and OPT have been plugging away, working hard, building communities, and they're basically in the same place, price-wise, right? So I think that it's definitely an encouraging sign. It also kind of lets you know that a lot of people who are holding the asset
We
have kind of
sometimes
stopped
consider
selling,
that
right?
life might be
But then
so
I guess
rare
you
that we
need
have
to
the
look
whole
at that in both
galaxy of
ways, right?
trillions
So
of worlds
if they're
all
selling
to
now,
ourselves.
or if they stop
And yet the
selling now, it may
cosmos
just
is
be an
made of
indication
billions
that
and
they
billions
don't
of
want to sell because
galaxies.
it's not worth it to
So
sell.
aliens would surely
And so
still
you
be
could probably
coming on the grander
anticipate
scale.
if the price starts
But
to
what if
go up,
humanity is
in any
truly alone
significant
in the
percentages,
universe?
that we're going to see some additional sales. So it's just so early. There's going to be these ebbs and flows in price. But what I'll be watching more as a metric is the total value locked to see how many people are actually
From
using
the earliest days of
functionality
the
and
show,
find it
we
attractive.
talked about humanity's future in a way that tend to assume we have the galaxy to
Thanks,
ourselves.
Tasha.
And we often discussed a future in which aliens are a rarity,
Of
and
course,
maybe
Shell,
so
just
rare
doing
we
my
might
best.
claim this whole galaxy and built telescopes fueled by entire stars
Yeah, and
before we even
and
spotted the signs of
I
a
don't
distant
think
civilization a
either
billion
that when
light
we say
years
like
away.
the bottom of the market,
This
I don't
is a
think it's the
concept
bottom of
that,
anything
like colonizing the
economically
moon
right
or
now. I think
Mars, is so critical
there's
to
still
the
a lot
show's
more pain to
discussions
be
that it
had.
probably needs
And so
updating.
you never
But
know.
beyond
People
that,
need
it's a
the money.
giant
You
topic
never know
no
what
single
occurs in
episode could ever
markets,
cover,
but,
with lots of implications.
yeah.
Indeed, I never have covered the case where humanity is genuinely the
My
first
own opinion, of
civilization in the universe, period,
No, of
not
course,
just
we're
our
all
local
entitled
sector.
to it, right? I guess what
That
I'm
is a
kind of
very
seeing
different
it as
case
we
than
have
aliens
reached the
just
bottom,
being
and that
rare in
most of
terms of
these
how
assets are climbing
civilization is
back
going
above
to
their
act
weekly
and
19.
view
And
things
people
if
who
it
know
gets
me know
out on
how
the galactic
significant
scene
the
and just never
19
sees
EMA is
anyone
to
else.
my trading
So I thought
methodology.
today we would explore
So
the
it's a
reasoning
very
for us being
encouraging sign when
ultra
these
rare
assets
or
get
even
back above
unique,
the 19.
along with
And
how it
actually, if
might
you think,
impact the
if you
war
look at
view
the charts,
or
and this is why I always
galaxy
tell
view
people,
of our
like, get
universe.
familiar with charts, even if
It can
you're
seem
not
like
going to
that when I
actually
talk
trade,
about
because
having
they
the
tell
whole
you a
galaxy
story
to ourselves,
that is
nearly a trillion stars,
more
almost all of which have multiple planets
substantial
we could
than
terraform and
people's
call home,
opinions,
and
right? And
asteroids
so
we
when
could
you look
forge
at the
into
XRP
uncountable
chart,
space
it didn't
habitats.
actually go
And
back
yet for
down
every
to
star in this galaxy,
the
there's
minus
another
80,
galaxy
90
far off.
percentiles, right?
If
We
the
kind of
galaxy
held
was
pretty
compared to
steady
Earth,
around
then
that
our solar
29,
system and all
30
its
cent
rewards
range.
and
And I
resources,
think that was very
even out to the
encouraging
Oort
for
cloud,
XRP
would be a spot on the
tokenomics,
ground
right?
the
A lot of
size
these
of a
other
house.
assets, I mean, they went
Scaled it up
completely
to the
back to their
observable
lowest
universe
low.
being
It set
Earth,
new
and all
lows.
the galaxy
So
would be that
XRP was
house,
kind of
and our
trending,
world a lone
holding
speck of
steady.
dust.
But as I said,
Indeed,
most of
it's
them are
quite
back above
possible
the
the true
19. Now, just
universe
to
would be an
understand the
entire
significance,
scale
I'm
higher
saying
or
weekly
even
19,
infinite.
right? So
We
if
can
you
only see those
kind
bits
of
of it
know
close
how to
enough for
cycle
their
through
light
these
to
time
reach
frames,
us.
what the weekly
Even then,
19
as
is
our
telling you
observable
is
universe
that in
expands,
between 1
most of the
week and
galaxies
1
we
month,
see
we're
now
in
are
a
already further
upward
away,
trend,
and no
right?
signal
It's all
sent
it's
today by
essentially
us
saying.
to them or
And so
vice
at any
versa
time
would ever
within
be
a month's
received.
time,
While
that trend
modern
could
physics tells
absolutely
us
turn
nothing
back
in
to a
this universe
downtrend,
can move
right?
faster than
And
light,
you'll know
the
that
universe
if it breaks
itself
below
is
the
an
19.
exception
As long as
and
it's
may do
above,
so.
we'll stay in that
It is simply
upward
being stretched wider.
trend.
Things inside can be
There's a
quote
monthly
unquote
chart that's
faster than
above
light,
the
but
weekly
things
chart.
trying to
So if
travel
you cycle
between each
over
other,
to the
be
monthly
it
chart,
ships or
you'll see that we're
signals,
still
cannot
under
move
the 19 on
internally
a
faster
monthly
than
chart.
that.
So we
And
can
thus
get
most of
above
the
the
universe,
19
even
on a
the
monthly
observable
chart,
universe,
right?
is
Now that
beyond
takes
any
us
chance
into
of
a
ever
month
being
by
reached
month
even by
situation
signal.
that we're in a
There is space enough
uptrend.
for
And so the
hundreds of
longer the
empires
trend,
to
the more
arise right
significant
now
or
and
important
never
it
know
is.
each other
The shorter
existed
the
as the
trend,
universe
that's why I
expanded
don't
apart
go
faster
under
than
a
their
daily
birth
to
cries
look
could
at
reach
any of
each
this
other,
data, right?
let alone their
Because if you're on
colony
a 4-hour
ships.
chart, the
It's
trend
an
could turn
irony that
literally
the
in 4 hours.
observable
And so it's
universe
pretty
grows in
insignificant.
size every
So
instant,
just to
but the
give you
number of
some
things in it we
indication
can
of how I
see
use
shrinks,
these moving
and
averages,
even smaller those parts we can
that's a
still
short
reach.
synopsis.
Almost 14 billion years after the Big Bang,
Yeah, I mean, it's
most
something
of what we
I
can see
do
now
use
will be
as almost like
forever
a
out of
market
reach of
sentiment
even
indicator.
near
When I
light
was
speed
doing
ships.
forex trading, we
And what we
developed
too have risen
algorithms
another
which
14 billion
essentially
years
would just
later,
plug the data
only the
from a
few
lot of,
dozen neighboring
averages together
galaxies
into
out of
sort of
all
a
those
factor of
billions would
confluence.
ever
But
be
overall,
ours,
our
assuming no
trading
one arose
thesis,
sooner
in the
and
fund,
claimed them for
was more based
themselves.
on long-term
At
news.
some
And
point
I
in the
certainly
universe, the
think,
first
Charles
interstellar
can
colony
have a
spacecraft was
certain level of
invented,
value just
or
in
will be
the from the
invented.
storytelling
At
side.
some point,
Because
the
if you can
first
see,
truly massive array able to send a message across billions of light years was made or will be made. The longer that takes, the smaller the number of worlds, stars, and galaxies such ships or signals might reach. Today we will ask if we are the first, period, as opposed to simply the first in this region of the universe, yet still fall down on the list of first civilizations, several hundred or even thousand down the line from that first interstellar empire, as contemplated in the Gravity Aliens scenario. See that episode for details. The default perspective of this show is that others have arisen and sent out those ships and signals, but the ships move slower than the signals, and no such signal has been received. If a civilization a billion light years away arose 999 million years ago, their signal is still heading our way. Indeed, it's not just a million years out still, as we would expect, because the universe expands at about 7% the speed of light for every billion light years, meaning if you launched a ship from here or there at 7% of light speed, it's never going to arrive. The furthest you can travel, even with a ship moving at 99.9% of light speed, is 13.8 billion years, non-coincidentally almost the same age as
good
the
morning,
universe.
brother. Like, it's
And that's
nice
the
and early
furthest
for
you
me
can
over
send
here
a
in
signal.
Australia at the moment.
This
That
isn't how
conversation
far
about
away the
charts
furthest
is,
galaxies we can see
and also
are, as the
sentiment
light
in the
we see
market at
left
the
them
moment
to
is
reach
actually
us
very,
back
very
when we were all
relevant, I
closer
think, at
together.
the moment too,
Hence, we can
because
see
I
galaxies
mean, we've
35
just gone
billion
through
light
so
years
many
away,
Black Swan
the
events to
current
be able to
record,
sort of
because
really
that's how
throw
far
this
away they
market
are
into
now,
just
not
upheaval at
13.5
the end of the
billion
day.
years
Like,
ago when the light we
and
see left
I'm
them.
starting to be able
Though,
to
of course,
notice
they
that
look
trend,
much like they
especially,
did
and I love
back
the 19,
then.
like I follow
Incidentally,
that
you
as
would
a bit of
typically
a
hear
religion now
distances
too.
to those
So
furthest objects
it's just
given as
it's very
13
interesting
billion
to be able to
something,
see the
and that's
sentiment
because
on how
that's the
people
age
actually
of light
reacting to
as
this
it
market
reaches us
too.
at
And
a redshift.
I know this
And we
space
used to
isn't
hear
about
about the
price
age
or anything
more
like
than
that, but
modern and
like
unreachable
going
distance,
back to what you guys
which
were
is known
saying
as its
before,
proper
when I popped in,
distance.
was like, you know, we're
If you know
talking about
something's
TVL,
proper
like, you know, how
distance
many
in
people are
billions of
actually
light
sort of
years,
investing
then you
into
can
these
tell what speed we need a
sort
ship
of
to be
longer
able to
term
travel to
holds,
ever
or
reach
like
it
investing
by
into the
multiplying
company
the billions
to,
of light
you know,
years by
create some rewards,
0.07.
and
If your maximum ship
they've
speed is
found their
70%
price
of
to be
light
able to say,
speed,
I
you can
believe
reach an
that
object
this
with
is
a proper distance of 10
this is a
billion light
long-term
years
goal
from
for
us,
me.
and it will take us a lot
collect
longer than
rewards.
10
I will
billion years to arrive. And
initiate
this is
myself
still
to
only
be
a
able to
small
actually use the
corner of the
functions in
universe,
this
less than
ecosystem.
1%. This is why I usually
It's
don't
very
care much about the
strange, or
question
it's
of
not
if we're the
strange at
only
all, I suppose.
civilization to arise in
It's
our
quite
local supercluster
human
around a
to
billion
be able
light
to
years
see
across,
people starting to
or
be
the
able to
whole
limp into
observable
positions at
universe,
this
which has
present
around 10
moment as
million
well. I mean,
superclusters.
I think there's
Because it's
definitely
not like you have a civilization that originated that
a bit
far
of a
apart,
worry that we're
bumping
going to
into
have,
each other
like,
and
you know,
never
like a
interacting.
tether crash,
And
or,
even
you
if
know,
your ship's
something's
moved
going
at
to go
99%
super
of
wrong
light
in the
speed,
system,
you
and
still have
you know,
millions
all
of
this kind
years
of
of
stuff, which
advanced
is,
warning
you know,
that their
that's
ships
good,
and
because I
colony
mean, people
expansion
should
wave
be kind
is
of
going to arrive
wary,
compared to their
not so
various
much
signals
fearful,
and
but
light
wary
speed
that, you know,
fingerprints.
this isn't all
You
set
will
in
sometimes
stone,
hear folks say
and
no alien signal
the
could be
companies that
heard even
we're
100
believing in
light
are
years
actually
away,
still
let
trying
alone
to
a
be able to
billion.
provide a
But this
service
is
out there to
simply
the public,
wrong, and
and
speaks to an
actually
assumption they
implement
send
some of this
radio signals the way
technology
we
in
do on
whatever
this planet, intended for
you know,
planetary
business that
consumption.
they're
That's
looking
like
to be
saying
able
we
to
can't hear
push
or speak
forward
to people
into.
on a distant
So
mountaintop
I
by
think
normal speech,
it's a
and
fun
thus we
time to
can't
be
make
alive,
ourselves known,
especially when,
seen,
you know,
or heard.
new
But you can
applications or
build a drum, for
new dApps
instance,
are being
and it
brought
won't
up.
relay
It's
human speech,
yeah,
but no one will
it's a
mistake
fun
it for
time to be alive,
noise,
man. And I
or
mean,
a fire
if
whose
you've
light
got
you
the pockets
flicker
to be
or
able to
move a
invest in
mirror
this
in,
stuff, it's
and no one will mistake that for
it
something
becomes a
natural
bit of a
either.
game, but
We do have radio telescopes and use them
yeah,
to look at distant
it's interesting
stars
times,
and
man.
galaxies.
Interesting times.
We look at
Yeah, of
pulsar
course, and,
stars,
you know, right,
which
nothing
oscillate and
that's
pulse
talked
in
about
the
in here is
radio range
financial advice.
and can be
But
seen
at the end of the
galaxies
day,
away
the most
too.
important thing is
So it's not that we
never
expect to hear
over-leverage
aliens
yourself,
in
and you never
distant
spend more
galaxies
money
by
than
their
you will need
casual
for your food and
terrestrial
groceries
radio
and every
shows,
other things. And so,
especially as they
you know,
probably
with
go
that thought in
digital as
mind, you
podcasts
never
have
actually
before
hurt
long.
yourself, no matter what
But
you do.
instead, by their immense beacons or waste heat
But,
their
welcome
whole
up.
civilization,
Oh,
you can
sorry.
Yeah, that's
build
a
enormous
very
space
good, that's a very
telescopes
good
that
point.
could
Yeah,
pick
if
up
people
very
ever seen
faint
some of my,
signals too,
particularly my early
ones that could
videos,
pick up
that's
normal
some of the
radio
things that I
signals
definitely
across the
make sure
whole
that I put in
galaxy,
them, right? You don't want to
albeit
be
probably with a lot of
over leveraged, right? You want
noise,
to
but then
sit
with enough
down and
receivers, a
literally
wide
figure out,
enough
not
spread
just
between them,
reactionary, right?
possibly light
Figure out,
years,
okay,
and
how
enough
much do I
computing
have
power,
out
that
of
matter
all
can
of
be
the
handled
income
too.
that I'm getting that I can safely set
Currently, the
aside to
Search for
invest in,
Extraterrestrial
right?
Intelligence,
And then
SETI,
that's where you
can
kind of start
legitimately
from, right?
say
You're
we
not
don't
making
know
these
that there
FOMO
are any
moves where you're
interstellar
taking more
empires,
because
that practical
you
space
suspect
colonization might
something,
be
right, or
rare,
whatever the
and
case
with
may
it
be.
massive
You
beacons
sit
and
down,
massive
actually do
telescope
your
arrays
budget,
and a
make
superabundance of
a
energy
very
for powering
responsible
inefficient
decision of
but
what you're
loud
going to invest in.
transmitters.
and then kind
So
of
it
stick
might
to
be that
that,
you only
right?
have a
And that's the
homeworld and
real
maybe the
base
alien
fundamentals of
equivalent
how
of
you
our
get
moon and
started
Mars,
in this
on which
investment
those
strategy,
aliens ever
particularly as it applies
colonized.
to crypto.
Maybe Dyson swarms weren't
But another
possible
thing is
either,
like that's
too
why
fragile
I
to
went
exist
public with
during
my
internal
strategy, because
conflicts, as we
ultimately,
discussed
let's
this weekend
suppose that
in
we
our
are in an
Planetary
upward
Civil
trend right
Wars
now.
episode.
What I do not
Maybe
want
the
to see,
nearest
and I want
alien world
everybody
is
in this call to really
technological,
hear me.
about the same as
What I
ours,
do
even
not
if
want to see
older,
is I
and
don't
just
want
a
to see,
thousand light
and I'm going
years
to use
away.
XRP as just an
In such
example
a
in this
case, we
scenario,
couldn't hear them
but I don't
now
want to
or
see us
they
go
us,
$2,
and there could be
$3,
millions of
$4,
such
or anywhere in
civilizations
those
in our
ranges, right?
galaxy, and maybe a
And hit
trillion
an
in the
actual
supercluster,
new
and
all-time
more
high,
like a
what the case may
quintillion
be,
in the
and then have
universe.
a traditional
All fairly
pullback as we have
isolated
seen since
places
this
who'd
asset
chat
has
over
been
millennia,
created, right?
where their nearest neighbor
That
sent them
may
a
in fact
message in
happen,
Julius
and
Caesar's
I don't
time,
really care
and they
because I'm
got it
going to
when
benefit
William
if
the
it does happen.
Conqueror
But what
landed
I
in
don't
Kent,
want to see
and
is
today we're going to
I
hear
don't
their
want to see
reply to
it
Caesar
go
from
that
William
high,
arriving,
right? And
and now to the Secretary General of the
90% of the
UN,
people do
whose
not know how to
follow-up
manage
message
their
will arrive in the
portfolio,
hands of
and
Kang
then
the
it didn't
Conqueror
benefit you
in the
anything
30th
because when it
century.
goes back down
And
to
nobody much
30,
bothers
40
with
cents or
mega
17,
beacons,
whatever
and
the
we
case
talked
may
about
be,
that option
you're
more
just
last
stuck with
week
the bag
in our
waiting for
episode
the
on
next time that
post-SETI
it goes up.
operations.
Like have a
But picking up
management
there,
strategy,
if in a
right,
century or
so
two
that
from
you're
now
not
we have a
harmed by
colony
the
ship
retrace
arriving
when it
around
goes
Alpha
back down,
Centauri,
or
and
that you
100
can
space
profit when
habitats
it goes
built in
back
orbit
down.
of Earth or in
Because
the
ultimately
asteroid
this
belt,
stuff is
and
binary,
settlements
right?
on the
If you
Moon and
decide to
Mars
sell
and
at
Venus and
$3
Europa
and
and
you think
Titan,
that the asset is
well,
going
that
to go
starts
to
really
10,
pushing back on
then
the
let me tell you
idea
what
that
you
there are
do.
only
You sell at
isolated
$3 and you
homeworlds,
put a limit
and
order
them
back at
short-lived
$3.
before nuking
And if
themselves
you are
into
right, you're going to
oblivion.
be put right back in,
And
and
if
you'll
in the
see your
year
$10.
3000 we have a
If
vast space
the
array in
price
our Oort
happens to go
cloud
down
and
significantly,
others that
guess
are
what?
thousands
You
of
got enough
interstellar
money to buy
colonies
more of the
inside a
asset,
light
right?
century
And you
of
should be
here,
happy either
then
way,
the idea that
right?
the aliens
So,
are hiding
I'm just
from
telling
us or
people you
can't
don't have to be
colonize or that we just
scared
can't hear
to
them
manage your
gets real
assets, right? You're
dubious.
not going to miss out
If and
anything
until
if you
that
just
day
do the
comes where we have
prerequisite work
interstellar colonies
to
sending out their
understand
own
how to
colony
set a limit
ships
order, how to set
and
a trigger
space
order,
arrays and beacons
and
big enough they
manage
could
your
pick each
risk
other
so
up
that
at
you don't
galactic
miss out either
distances
way.
or their
And that's
alien
just the
versions in
reality
those
of the situation.
galaxies, then we can't simply assume intelligent life colonizing the galaxy is rare
Yeah, I
because
completely
such
agree. I
life
think,
is
one of the
rare.
biggest risks in
Prior to
trading
that, we could say
is
it's
always
decently
the human
common, but
factor,
tends
and I
to
think
end
the
in
best way
nuclear
to essentially
apocalypses
solve that
or AI
is
run
through
amok,
a couple
then
of
shutting
things
down or
basically. So
failed
three
colonies that just
key
never get
points
going.
would
If
be
that
one, the
scenario I just
education.
laid out
Do your
happens,
research
though,
regarding
then the
what
year
asset class you're
3000,
in,
the
what
Fermi
your exit
paradox is
strategy
probably
is,
going to be
things like
considered
that.
pretty solved.
Then I'd also
Mind you,
say,
it might have gotten
be
solved
patient if you're
earlier
a
by
long-term
aliens
investor.
arriving or us getting a signal,
Don't
but we're talking about a
don't fiddle with
scenario
it
where the
basically in
status
that
quo
time.
silence has
I
remained,
think that
but
goes for
humanity
pretty
has
much
spilled
most
out to
asset
neighboring
classes. And
stars
lastly,
and
remember the most
successfully,
powerful
and in the
tool you've
beginnings of
got
a
is
cascade or
compounding.
snowball to the
And
galaxy
again,
at
refer
large,
to my previous
and
two
has
answers for
done so
basically
with
how to
ever bigger
leverage
astronomical
that.
gear able to
But
make
yeah, I mean, in
Hubble or
terms of
Kepler or
education, just
Webb
going to sort of
look like dinky little
selflessly and
toys,
shamelessly plug
and
for a
still not
second.
seen a single
We've just
K1,
launched our
K2, or
articles
K3
page this tempo.
civilization.
So we've just made
Now,
a
if we do
recent
see a
post regarding
K3
the
sieve out
legals
there,
of
a big
music. So that's
sprawling
basically a
galaxy-wide
deep dive
heat
into
signature
the
around some
rights
distant
and
galaxy,
various
then
copyrights.
spotting
So
it and a few
if you want to
others
have a little
basically
bit of a better
confirms the
understanding of
grabby
that,
alien scenario,
I'll pin
and lets us
the
calculate
tweets,
about how
up
frequently
top.
life emerged to intelligence, and how
Yeah,
that
please feel free
increased
to.
over time, and how much the universe is essentially ours to garden,
And I
which would
spammed
generally
that
be
with a whole
counting
bunch of
not
invites. He
planets
doesn't
and
seem to want to
stars,
come up,
but
Costa,
galaxies
so
and
gonna have to
superclusters.
hold
And
on.
it is the year
Hold on, let him
3000,
come
and we
up
still
today.
haven't
But
seen
Samantha,
even
welcome
that.
up. I know you haven't
What's the
gotten
new
a chance to
dynamic?
speak. If there's
Well,
anything,
even the grabby alien
change the topic or
scenario of
anything
just
you'd
a
like
few
to speak about,
thousand
please feel free.
intergalactic empires, not
No,
billions
it's
of
all good. I'm
galactic
just
ones or untold
listening whilst
quadrillions of
cooking dinner,
interstellar
actually.
empires,
So
someone
thank
has to be
you.
civilization
Hi,
one,
Shellfish.
and it could be us as easily as
Hi,
anyone
Samantha.
else, especially in a sample
I'm glad
size
you
of
made it to
thousands,
this
not
space. Yeah, well, I thought I'd better
quadrillions.
check and see what you're up to.
You are also hardly guaranteed to be number one unless you've been expanding for billions of years and still never heard anyone else. Since we could just have one alien homeworld per supercluster, still have 10 million supercluster-sized
neural
empires in the
networking
observable universe,
and
and still not
interconnection.
have
And
seen
I was
even
wondering
the
if you
nearest
maybe
one,
wanted to
if
talk on
nobody
it,
really
if you
started
had
popping
read
up
up on
until
it
a couple
a little
billion
bit more
years
after we
ago
spoke.
and less often then than now, and by minimal coincidence, the nearest dozen were all only a billion years old or less. Incidentally, these are not really empires.
That's fine. Take your time.
It is
So,
more like their homeworld was the first
sorry about
amoeba
that.
in the
I know
ocean, and by the
I make
time the
myself cry
ocean, or
sometimes too.
supercluster of
I feel bad for her.
galaxies, was all
She heard my voice.
colonized,
Sure, it's not
those
that.
amoeba aren't
We're
even
both
vaguely
mums
uniform in
with
species,
kids,
let alone in
so it
unified
just
leadership
is a
and
busy time
goals.
for me.
Which is why
Obviously,
it's hard to
selfish too.
assume any unified
Sorry.
policy like being silent or leaving primitive wards alone could
Don't
be
worry,
in
dear
place.
stranger. I won't
It's
make you
like
cry,
assuming
buddy.
because
It's
you
all
and I
good.
and a beehive and
No,
an
it's
oak tree and a bear
it's me that
all
makes
share
other people
common
cry.
ancestry from that amoeba, that we'd all have some treaty we agreed to and followed about leaving new bacteria alone.
Although at least that's the way I
which
feel when I hear
restates
my
all
voice
normal
played back to
assumptions
me.
about the
I don't know
Fermi
if other people
paradox
feel
and
that way.
galactic
Definitely,
empires,
me too.
and how that's not likely to be a
That's
proper
wonderful
term
voice.
anyone ever gets to use.
I
But that's still far
I was
ahead.
reading
It's the
the
year 3000,
the
we
check
aren't seeing
by
anything like that, and our knowledge
that
of physics
amendment
hasn't been
from
updated.
XRP
So
scan,
nobody has
and
found some awesome portal to
I'm
new
just curious how
universes
that
we
would
can
work. So I
colonize,
would write a
or
check
harness for power, or
from
flee
my
to in
bank
order to escape
and
entropy.
send it to
Just a big old
like an
boring
address.
universe
Like
we are
I would put a
colonizing
public
and making
key in
interesting.
as the
What's the state of the Fermi
like the
paradox
recipient.
now?
Like how
It
exactly does
also
this work?
matters
Is
if
it
we have found
is it
life
like a
on other
checkbook
worlds and
for
what
the
that looks
XRPL
like.
or for
Was it
XRP
simply
scan? I
algae?
was
Was it
curious on
complex
that.
ecologies with critters but dumb?
So it
Was it even
exists.
worlds
The
with
function
intelligent life
exists
but just
to
nothing
populate
technological?
the function of
Let's
a check
consider these four
on
cases
the
then.
XRP ledger.
A universe where we
So,
have found not one single speck of
if
life
now
anywhere,
you
even
send
microbes.
a check
One in
to
which it was
somebody
common
and they
enough, but
accept
nothing
the
really
check,
complex.
it auto sets a
One in
trust
which
line
was
between the
complex
two
occasionally, but
participants.
not
It did not
smart.
do that before.
And one where it wasn't technological, but plenty of
But the
dolphins and
functionality
chimps and
for
maybe even
checks
cavemen were
existing on
around.
the XRP ledger
Maybe even with fire.
existed for many
After
years.
all, we
All
apparently
the way
had
back to,
fire
like,
for a million years
2014,
before we
I
made
think.
ceramics or metals with it. One note
It was
before we
one of the
jump
first
into
things.
those.
I might
We'll
have
be talking here about how
might
humanity
have been
might
there from day
react to
one, actually.
perceived
I have to double check
uniqueness
that.
as opposed to simple
808,
rarity.
you might know better.
But in
actually,
terms
or
of
that.
rarity, finding out that humans are 1 in 1,000 in the sense of 1 in 1,000 star systems spawns something like us, or 1 in a million, or 1 in a billion, or even 1 in a billion
So I guess in the
billion,
instance of
still
if your
needs to
bank
be
was using
viewed
it, right?
relatively. Your brain is what
Maybe they
matters here
tap
and weighs a
into
couple
the
kilograms, and the
functionality,
various
right,
atoms making it up
of
have only
creating
been
a
doing
nice,
that job for
easy-to-use
some decades.
interface for you, but
There's
the
maybe
back
been
end, right, is
100
an
billion
API that's
humans who have
connected to
ever
a
lived,
ledger
and
of
only
the
for a
same
few
functionality
trillion combined
that
years
could
of
write a check
lifetime.
in that instance.
That's
I guess.
maybe 10 trillion kilogram years of matter in brain format, and a few dozen times that if we
May I
wanted to
ask a
include the
question?
whole
Yeah.
human mass. Earth is just a few
Of
millionths
course.
of the mass of this solar
Sorry,
system,
I'm just a
which
little
is
bit behind.
billions of
Could
years
somebody
old,
just, like, give me
and
a
we would have something
very
like a
brief
couple billion
synopsis
trillion
about what
times
the
as much matter
IOV
dwelling in other formats over the
Foundation NY is, as I
eons.
assume that's
And if you look at the atoms in our solar system, at
something
any
to
given moment over its
brings it all
history,
together
there's
here.
only a 1 in 10 to the 27 chance, a
Yeah.
trillion
Yeah,
quadrillion,
so I like to
that
think
an
that's why
atom
everybody
happened to be
comes.
part of a
That's
human brain at that time.
I like the way you put
So
it.
we're
But
already dealing with a
the
staggeringly
IOV
huge
is
number
Internet of Value,
and
and so I have
staggeringly
started
improbable
the
setup
Internet of Value
before
Foundation
ever we
in New
leave
York.
this planet
I
or
reside in New York,
stall.
and
We estimate there's something like a couple
previous to
hundred
me
billion
doing this,
trillion
I've been in the
stars in the
community, the
observable
XRP Ledger
universe.
community, and the
And
digital
from the
asset
immensity of that number,
for about
we think
6
all
years now,
uniqueness must be freak
trying to spread
chance or sign things
educational
are
awareness,
natural. And both
the
might
ability
be
to
true,
have the
but we mustn't be
sociological
intimidated
bridge
by that
between
number, because
understanding
it's already tiny compared to the odds
economics,
already on display in the
sociology,
one place in
history,
the universe we
and
can
the
examine
relative
in
future
detail
of all the
and
different
confidently
technologies,
declare it lacks
Web3,
any other
right, this
civilizations,
blockchain technology,
our own
AI,
planet.
and the
And
composition of
even if we did find
where
some
we're all going
Morlocks
to go
or
with it.
dolphin
And so I
cities,
try
it
and
wouldn't
just,
really shift those
as
numbers
best as I
much.
can,
Indeed,
educate
even when you throw
in
in all
all
the
of the different
biomass
fields
this
so
planet
that those
has and
who
all the
we
eons it's
communicate
had
with, and
it,
hopefully people
we
that
still
listen to
find
this
that an
information
atom
in the
on this
future
planet spending its
are,
time as part of
better
a life
equipped
form,
to
even
be
an
what
amoeba,
I would call
is
the top of
worse
the pack
than
of those
lottery
who will be
odds,
able to
and
mold
its chance of
the
even
future
being
that
on
we
this
exist
planet,
in and our
as
children's
opposed to other
future and their
bodies in the
children's
solar
future.
system, is similarly rare.
Thank you very much
And
for
for our
sharing
first
that.
case,
Sounds
looking
amazing.
beyond our
I
world,
shall look
we
forward to
will
finding
assume
out
we
more.
not only have no other civilizations, but no life at all.
Okay, so
It would
damage
not
control
seem
is
likely
done.
that without any other examples
Your
of
voice
life,
is
the
not
Fermi
on,
paradox would seem
and-
solved. But my hunch is it's unlikely to be considered a big
I
issue by
posted
that
a patent that I
civilization
sent him this
anymore.
morning.
What two
It
or
kinda
three
goes
camps
in
of the
line
Fermi
with,
paradox
Ray
dominate things at
Kurzweil,
that point?
the
You
other
should still
interview
have
where he was
zoo
talking to
hypothesis
Neil
and simulation
deGrasse,
as an option, that reality
and
was
they
fake
were
or a
discussing
sublayer,
having
and we will
the
include the specifically theological options of us
brain
being the
chips,
one and only
and
creation of a
Neil was
higher
kinda
power
laughing
here
and saying,
too,
well, who's gonna
be
wanna
it
have
smart
a
aliens
wire
or
in their
supercomputers
brain,
or creator
when
God.
they can just
You may
use,
fill in
like,
the
their
blank
phone
according
to
to your
choose their
personal
song? Like, that's
preferences
kinda,
here,
like,
though
a
there's
weird thing,
obviously a
and he's like,
vast
well, no,
difference in
no,
outlook
it's gonna be like
between
analog.
superhuman
We
but
talked
finite
about this
aliens
before,
or precursors
the
and program was an infinite creator God, which come in a wide variety of outlooks too. Nonetheless, I would expect this to be the dominant view in case 1, albeit it might be subdivided into 100 different camps, much as it is now, or 100,000. It's total speculation, but my hunch is that the idea of a
the
natural
interesting
world
concept where
in which we evolved by
it's
random
almost,
chance
right,
is
we're calling
probably
it,
viewed with as much skepticism in
wireless
this setting
neural
as it would have been
stimulator,
a few
but
hundred
in a
years
sense,
ago. Most folks currently
telepathy, right?
alive, and
I
by
mean, being
overwhelming
able
numbers,
to
tend to assume that
stimulate
however old
neurons
this world and universe is,
and
life on
create
it or
synaptic
in it
connections
is not entirely
from
natural.
one to the
And
next
so it would
using a
seem easy enough
Bluetooth
for that
technology, or
viewpoint to
really
stay
just
a
a
majority and
wireless
even
signal.
regain ground if we're out exploring and
Super
settling
cool
the
to think
universe,
about how
and all
close
we
that
find is
possibly is.
endless dead worlds,
Yeah,
where
he was
life
saying,
never emerged. We could call this the status quo scenario, given that it's essentially the world we've lived in for a long time, and on the same data, no strong evidence of life elsewhere. Though, as I've noted a few minutes ago, our existing state as humans is already super improbable, long before we ever add other planets, stars, and galaxies in. Going from 1 in 10 to the 27, the odds of an atom in the solar system being part of a brain at any given moment in the solar system's existence, to 1 in 10 to the 50th, the odds of any given atom in the universe being a human brain since the Big Bang, is not a tiny change in any way. But I think it's easier to hear those odds and not simply assume there's something instantly paradoxical about an apparent lifeless universe beyond this world. Endless empty planets, all dead and never home to life till we arrive at them. Ironically, the opposite direction, a universe where we found nothing but dead worlds, but where life had emerged a lot and died off, from calamity natural or artificial, would strike me as one favoring either nihilism or the more Lovecraftian view of reality being ancient and immense, and being populated by ancient and immense aliens, and their worshippers, and cattle.
Not that far off.
It's a universe where you know the answer to the Fermi paradox, and you really wish you
I think
didn't,
for sure it's in our
because life would be
lifetime.
much
And if
more
you're-
pleasant if you
right,
didn't know
depending
for
on
sure
your
it was
age and
doomed.
life expectancy
See
of
our
what you
episode Gods
expect,
and
but I would say
Monsters
the
for
next
more on
20 to 30
that.
years for the majority
Back
of
to
people.
the first case,
if you
in a
feel like you
universe
have
where
that
everything is
in
just
you,
unliving until we
very
arrive,
high
I tend to feel
probability
humanity
that
would view it as a bit of a
synaptics
manifest
bridges
destiny to go
of
forth and
you that
plant gardens
exist at
across
that
the galaxy
momentarily
and
of time
beyond.
before your organic
I think it would
self
be a
maybe
pretty big
starts
deal a million years down
decompose
the
beyond,
road when we settled the whole galaxy and folks were stretching
survivability.
out with intergalactic arcs
That'll
to
be
claim
able
more.
to be
And if we
stored
still hadn't
somewhere.
heard from
And maybe
aliens
even
by
maybe
then,
even past
even
that.
just
Maybe
to see
that
their
maybe that
fingerprints on distant
that estimate
galaxies,
is
I think it would
is
be
way
pretty
sooner
popular to
than
assume an
20 to
unnatural
30
origin,
years, but
and that if
just
anyone else
really,
existed,
I
it
think
was
it's
far
crazy.
enough away we could all
Yeah,
expand
Samantha,
indefinitely
you
without
missed our
crashing into each
conversation.
other
I think it was
in
like a
any
week or
way
two
anyone
ago
back here
where
would
we were
ever need to
talking about
care
instead
about.
of clones
The leading
being
edge of
grown
our
in a lab,
colony is bumping into
about
some other
human bodies
grabby
being
alien
3D
civilization
printed
a billion
and
light
your
years away
consciousness
at the
kind of
hazy
going
edge of the cosmological
in
event
a
horizon at that point
spaceship to
is
like
not the
different
source of a
planets or
future
different
invasion. That's all those
galaxies, and then
divergent
just
cousins
when
nearby
you needed
you,
to
who
download
are all
your
potential
consciousness into
aliens
a
and
3D
threats.
printed body,
And the
was
real
many
aliens are just a
aliens were more
curiosity that you
realistic
probably
rather
figure
than
were planted
3D
by the
printed
creator or simulator,
beings
whichever,
and
to help make
houses,
sure the whole
etc.
universe was gardened by
This is
someone.
what-
I'm still
but
trying
I-
to wrap
Or
my
some
head
other
around
usage
a lot of these
motivation.
things,
I just
'cause
find terraforming
I'm
words a nice
slightly
gardening
perhaps
analogy in a
older.
poetic
I'm 48,
purpose.
so
In a
I'm
no
still
FTL
like,
universe, there's
bit
never
old
going to
school,
be any
so
useful
sorry
exchange
about
with
that.
them anyway. These other
But I know
grabby
it's
aliens, and it would
I'm
seem
dropping
likely
down,
they had
but,
developed the same attitude.
AI is
We might
frightening,
hate them, or
and
vice
like
versa, for
the
taking
idea
away
of
our
like
uniqueness,
copying
but
yourself.
that's not really
like
logically sound. If
like
they
if it
exist, we
becomes
never
so
had it, and
prevalent,
pointing at
like
your
I could see
creator and
people
complaining you
using
only
that
got
to
a few
copy
million
themselves all the
galaxies to
time,
call
like
your
even
own,
while they're
rather than
existing,
a trillion,
and that's
is
just a
probably not going to be
really
viewed as logically or theologically
wild
sound,
prospect,
and kind of
I guess.
childish. Not that that
I
alone
don't know.
is likely to
It's
stop
frightening.
many folks from doing
Wasn't
it.
there like a
All at the same time,
an
there's nothing about
X-Man
this
that
environment
was,
that just
able to
proves we
copy
are
himself,
unnatural,
like,
and it all takes place in the
exponentially? I can't
backdrop
remember
of
his
many
name.
new worlds being founded, so this doesn't
But yeah,
imply
that was all
atheists or
copied.
agnostics have ceased to exist or even gotten less
Well, I
numerous,
mean, a
or
lot
any
of
sort of
them
unified
are-
religion,
well, yeah,
just a
I mean, like,
species that looked around a
sure, but I
huge
mean, if
universe
you
and
have
saw
the
nobody
ability
else,
to
and
3D
got
print
an
yourself,
ego
and you
boost
need,
out of it, justified or not.
a bunch of
I think if we are
people with,
contemplating
like,
the case of
higher
encountering
intellect
lots
or,
of
like, solve a
life,
problem,
but
like,
nothing
that'd be
complex,
pretty awesome, but
that it's basically the
like,
same
I don't
situation.
know.
And that
Yeah,
would tend to be true
although
for
I
the other
think
cases
the-
too.
the 3D
We tend to
printing
think of
computer
ourselves as
being
something
sent out in
special
outer
and
space, like
unique as a
satellite landing
species
on
to
other
begin with.
planets in
So
3D
finding
printing
lots of
kind of to me
additional
is like
life
the
that was
ideal
simpler than what
scenario,
we have
right?
here
That's
on
like
Earth,
the alien
or
lands
even
on the
full
planet
dolphin and
Earth.
elephant and
And I would
chimp
call it
smoke,
alien in
wouldn't
this
seem likely to
instance
humble us
because it
much.
is it is
And maybe
alien.
shouldn't.
It is foreign.
I'm a
and
big fan of
wants to
humanity,
destroy,
but never
right?
want
In
to
that
say
sense,
we
like,
lack
take
in
over.
pride, and couldn't benefit
That
from a
scares
bit
me a
more
little bit. I
humility.
don't know if I'd like to
And
be a
I don't
3D
think it
printed
would
model
actually
of
change if I found out
millions
for
of
certain
myself,
tomorrow that
taking
we
over
either
planets.
did live
But,
an entirely natural and nihilistic
you know,
existence, or were God's
I do
favorite
think
critters
that
and
we are
most
in
prized
what I
creation.
would call like the
I'm thinking
networking
finding
phase
out
of
that we're the
humanity. We
apex
just went
species,
through an
not just a
industrial
core,
revolution
but every world we
where
haven't even
mechanics and
visited yet
combustion
that's
engines
covered
and
in
electric
simple
and
animals or even
all of the
alien pond
mechanical
scum
devices that
is
would
not
need to
going
be
to make
done
us
to
suddenly find a
support
big
a
old slice of humble pie. And if it
I
did,
would
we
s-
would
what I would-
probably proudly proclaim
I would
how
say
humble we
support
were
a
compared to our
ecosystem of
ancestors. Though to be
globalization
honest, I'm pretty
for
sure that
all
even if it
economies
turned
to
out
be
we
able
were
to
in the
thrive.
Matrix and the
And
simulation
we've
suddenly
finally
ended
reached
and
the
we were
stage where now
accident
if
or
we
failed
fully
experiment,
connect and
we find a
network
way to make
that
ourselves out to
industrial
be pretty
aspect,
grandiose. I
we
can imagine an
finally
embarrassed
start to
programmer
bridge
showing
over
up
to
in the
what I
sky
would call
one
the
day
age
and
of
saying,
energy, which I
I'm
think
not
will
sure how
enter
to
in
tell you this,
that
but your
15 to
award
20
was
year
something my
range.
kid designed and
And
forgot
that I
and left
truly
running in
think
the
is a
basement.
marvelous,
And you've been sitting in the
marvelous era
basement
for
because I was
humanity.
too lazy to clean and
Prosperity
organize the
beyond
place, and well,
the
when I found
understanding
your
of what
universe
a
running
utopia
there,
may
it
be,
seemed
and
wrong to just
I
shut
think
you
that's
off,
kind of when
and
we have that
well,
bridge
here
we were
you
talking
are.
about before.
I figured I should let you know, and I'll leave the lights on.
Signal as
Good luck.
immortality, but
I imagine a lot of us would choose not to
we're
believe
still
that,
in this
or that it was
networking phase where
untrue in
everybody
some
is
kind
really
of
just
test.
trying to connect
But I
all
think
these
even if we
networks,
did believe
APIs.
that, we would say
It
it's
is still
proof
very,
how
a very
awesome we
new
are
kind of
to
concept.
have emerged
It's
on our
only,
own on a
what is an
discarded
API? Is like
computer
what,
or
50,
petri
10 years
dish.
old? I don't even know if
Obviously,
APIs
in
are
this context, you have to
probably like
view
10
the
or 12
universe
years old.
principally through the lens of the anthropic
idea.
principle rather
So
than the
there's still a
mediocrity
lot
principle
of
we tend to prefer for science.
new
And it is the
connecting
literal nature
of
of the
all of
anthropic
the
principle
aspects
to
of
be rather
all of the
self-centered.
networks that exist today.
For my part,
that
I
we
do think we
use to
genuinely are
communicate and
special and exploring the universe
everything
and
processing
finding
of
or not
information
finding
wise.
others, people or just other life, merely helps us clarify
Yeah, I mean, I
how
think an
we are
interesting
special.
sort of
And
case
even if we
study for
found
it
out the
almost is
whole observable
aviation.
universe was empty of
It's a
other
weird one
life,
because I'm a
it
pilot
wouldn't prove
myself,
we
and
were a
we've
fluke
got
or
this
created,
weird
or that there weren't
mishmash
countless other
of some of the most
universes, or that the
cutting-edge technology.
unobservable
I've
portions
flown
of our universe
an
weren't
electric
infinite and
aircraft, which
populated
is
too.
weird. There's
We
literally
have
no
no
noise to the bloody
idea what
thing
the
other than
odds
the
of
wind.
life emerging are,
And then on
or
the other
evolving
side,
to
we've got
complexity,
so
or
much
brains, or tool
antiquated tech
use,
at
or
the same time.
starships is.
If you
And
look at the
until
commercial
we
aviation
encounter some
industry,
other
we've got
examples of these
autopilot
things,
systems,
we
which
can
are,
only
have led the
hypothesize, and thus
industry
far
for
at least, we have
decades,
not had any
especially
success
the
with determining the odds of
and
any part of
artificial
life coming
intelligence
about.
fields.
And it's one of those
But
problems that
then
make
at the same
accurately
time,
monitoring the
it was
weather
only until the
look like
90s
modeling a
where we
game of
actually had
tic-tac-toe.
twin-engine aircraft because
Indeed,
the
one
war was
reason
so
to simulate
outdated.
universes is
So I
to try
think,
to guess
in
those odds
especially in the
better through
information
detailed
field, we do
models.
see almost a very
So we
similar
might
thing.
have to explain to
The
a
laws
simulated
are
universe's
holding back
inhabitants
a
we
lot of the
made one
innovation. The
day how we
regulations
made them
just
in order
can't
to
keep
figure
up
out
with
how
what's being
likely it
built.
is we were alone
And I think
in
this applies
our
to most
universe,
spaces in
but at
the
least
sort
we
of
could
digital field.
confirm if in their pocket
And
universe
especially,
they
if we
were
sort of
alone.
apply this to blockchain
If we
itself,
start encountering
in the
inhabited
UK
worlds,
especially,
either just by mold
generative
or
art
slime,
isn't
then
classed
that
as
lets
a
us use
copyrightable
the
art
good
form.
old-fashioned
You can refer back
mediocrity
to the
principle
Naruto
and
versus
determine the
Slater case
frequency
on
of
that one.
slime plants and
But
mold
all
worlds,
artwork,
and
all
what factors seem
copyrightable
to
things,
improve those
basically,
odds or
must be
hurt them,
generated by
and draw
humans,
some
which
real
makes the whole
numbers on how often
innovation
planets
field
will have
a
life.
complete mess from a legal
Same
perspective.
for each other
Who
case
even owns
too,
the
but even if
underlying
we
rights
found
to
complex and
those
intelligent
assets,
life on a
basically.
planet on every
So I
100th star
think
we
it's one of these,
visited,
you know,
that
like
still
everything
does
in
not
life, the
solve the
regulation
Fermi
really needs to
paradox.
catch up with what's
Only
been
encountering
essentially
or
built at
seeing
this
another
stage.
technological civilization, past or present, would do that, as would finding
Very
out that
good
our
points.
dreams of space colonization
It's
were
very interesting
ambitious
also,
but
actually, from that,
impractical.
from a legal aspect.
Presumably,
That's,
whether it's us or someone
Samantha,
else,
though, you
there
got your hand
was
up. Go ahead.
someone who showed up first in this universe, and indeed probably several different places, maybe several million, would have emerged first and been eons thinking they were alone before ever seeing evidence of another civilization, even an older one. Now in science fiction, when folks contemplate this elder race, which would be us in this case, they explore and get sad they run into no one else, and maybe start creating or kindling new civilizations. That's poetic, but I don't really think that would be much the case, unless it specifically was a unimind, one big conscious planet or hive mind. For the rest of us, well, there's tons of fellow humans or aliens to chat with and explore alongside, including all your mutant cousins who settled elsewhere. It is also the slow way to do it, seeding a planet with life and waiting for intelligence to emerge billions of years later.
Even in the sense
And
of
with
like
apparently slim odds of it ever happening, even if you seeded millions of worlds, and if you had advanced technology for thousands of years, odds are you're masters of genetics, and even formulating entirely new strains of life that aren't carbon-based, assuming you were, and you should be able to terraform life and even build entirely new sapient species, like hyper-intelligent squids or dragons or unicorns, basically from scratch in centuries, not geological timescales.
Will there be security
You might
risks?
be
Will there be
patient,
people
but
being
patience
brain hacked
implies
in the sense of,
delaying
like,
serves
you know,
a
like a
good
weird scenario,
purpose, and I'm not seeing one there.
with
Now, you can actually make a strong
chips
case for that singular mind existing by
settings of
itself
cars, right?
and forth.
Cars could be hacked today.
A
Most people
Boltzmann
don't even
brain,
realize
that's one that
your car
simply
could drive you
assembles
off a
by
cliff.
random
People don't
distribution
even
of atoms
already.
into
if you have a car
mind,
that's
not by long
2002
evolutionary
and newer,
processes,
it's
is always
controlled
on
by
the
a computer
table,
that
and
has
the
a Wi-Fi
universes with
system in it,
different physical
and
constants might be
you know,
way
it's,
more likely to
I think
emerge
it's
than
not
brains
much of a
via
difference
evolution,
than the difference
especially
than
as we
what
don't know the
already
odds for
exists
that
today.
anyway.
I just think the
However, in an
efficiency
evolutionary
and the
context,
overall
it's not
aspect
really that
of
hard to
how
imagine a
involved
sharp
it is
left
in
with
our
early
everyday
neurons
aspect
and
changes,
multicellular organisms
and
into
so
something
the
that
risk
was
factor
basically
has
a
to
big
change with it.
algae mat and
So there'll
brain,
always be risk, but
and one that evolved a
yeah, I think the
parasitic or
overall,
symbiotic
there's
ability
no
to
stopping
infect
it.
other
If
organisms
there's
and influence their
in the
behavior
sense
to
of
its
there
benefit,
really is,
to be its
unless an
hands and
asteroid hit
feet,
the Earth
so
or
to
a
speak.
volcano blows up,
That could be
or,
very
we all
sophisticated,
bomb
as we
each other.
contemplated in
It's
our
a very
recent
high
episode on the
possibility, in
Gaia
my opinion, also.
hypothesis, and even up to ward brains, like we looked
inherent
at in our
flywheel
Conscious
effect of
Planets
the
episode.
technology developing
And
will not be
critically,
able
I
to
could
stop.
see that being a very
No,
fast
no, I
evolver,
realised
something that was
but
up
I
and
just,
running in the first couple
you know,
billion
we're
years of
speaking
a
about
planet
how
forming, when
we find it
photosynthesis was still
difficult to
new,
keep up
long
in
before the
law and
Cambrian explosion. Because there's not
certainly in
really much
security. I
complex
think,
there.
you know, we have been
Brains aren't
propelled
really that
into a
complex as
future that many
hardware
are
any
not
more than
prepared for
computers
at all.
are.
Now,
They're
I
just
probably
expensive the
include
way we
myself
do
in
them,
that, but
and thus big ones are hard
I
to
just,
evolve.
you know,
If
it
you're
really
a
worries
network of
me
simple
actually
organisms where the
because
brain is
I'm such a
simply a
security
byproduct
freak
of that
anyway,
organism, it's more
and with so much
plausible, I
going on
think.
in the world, I'm just
We
hoping
are
that
not
it's
such
kind
a
of going to
mind, but I
implode
wouldn't
on
be shocked
itself
if it turned out
in
a
the very
vast number of
foreseeable
forced
future.
intelligences
We're
were
going
such
to
planet
create
brains,
something great
and their
from
own
that, and
attitude
then all
towards
of this
colonization might
is
be
all
very
just going to
different
go
than ours.
beautifully, and
The
everything's going to
universe
be
may
lovely.
contain
That's
vast
kind of how
numbers
I
of
see it
such
in my
world
head,
minds,
so
and we are the
fingers
rare
crossed.
exception. Alternatively, just as a reminder how
Yeah, I think so too,
improbable
and I think it
complex
would be a
life
relative
is,
scenario,
if all of Earth's
for
existence
something
was
like that to
compressed
happen.
into a
Because
single year,
we as
where
humans,
the planet had
sometimes
formed
we need
on
to see
January 1st and
what
the moon
can be
landings happened
possible
a
for us
fraction
to
of a
not
second
want that
before
to
New
be the
Year's,
possibility that
and
is the
every
outcome.
day is 12
So,
million
it
years,
just happens. It's a
and every
learning
second
experience, as long as you don't just
143
go too far
years,
where there's
then
no
the Cambrian
impact in that
explosion
sense.
didn't
Yes,
happen until
seeing is believing
mid-November,
is
and
my
most of the rest of
favourite
life
phrase,
was
so,
achingly simplistic.
and
So
that
we shouldn't assume that step up is
encapsulates what you
easy
said,
or
I think,
simple
so.
and universal. Continuing that
Yeah,
analogy,
for sure.
though,
I
if
think
all
so.
of Earth's timeline was 1 year,
Well, I think
the
that
universe
there's two
itself is about
sides to the
3
argument
years
when it
old
comes to
now,
technology
and
and how
2
it
when
can
Earth
be
was
for the
born.
betterment of human
When
beings.
this
But
episode airs on December 8th,
I mean,
that would be when
technology
the
just doesn't
earliest
solve
mammal
everything as
existed,
well. I
and
mean,
even
like we are
dinosaurs were
imperfect
new,
beings,
and
we
humanity
do
discovered
all these
fire about
things that
10 p.m. on New
realistically,
Year's
if you
Eve,
brought it down
and
to,
figured out how to do pottery and writing a
like
minute before
just
midnight.
trying to be able
And
to get
our first
by kind of
colony on
situation
Mars
for
should be up
just
by a
humans. Like,
second
look at
is the
dolphins.
new
I mean, they've
fourth
got
year.
massive brains.
Our first
They cruise
interstellar
through the
colony
ocean.
a
They
few
don't really
seconds
hurt
later,
anything.
and the whole
They
galaxy
obviously do
colonized by
eat
that
other
first
things,
day,
but you know they
probably
just get
early in
around
the morning too.
their
But remember, a day is
ecosystem and
12
don't really have
million
too much
years
of an
here,
impact on
and
it
that's
as well.
long enough for
But
colonization to
humans,
just
I
bump
mean,
some
we
light
use
speed to
technology to
occur.
be able to
And odds are
be
good
more
we could send ships
comfortable,
at a high
you speed
fraction
up,
of light
you know,
speed.
whatever
Early in year
transactions
4, just a week or two
you know,
in,
systems
we
that
could
we want to
easily
be
have
able to do,
colonized
but we
hundreds of
still hurt the Earth at
galaxies,
the same time.
and by the
So,
spring, tens
you know,
of
it's
thousands.
great to be able to use that
And a
technology stack to
civilization
be
that
able to make your
emerged
life
somewhere
better,
else in the universe a
hopefully
few
make
months
the
ahead of
lives
us,
better of other
back when
people
we
as
hit
well.
the Cambrian
But
or a little
once
earlier,
again,
could
technology still
easily
gets
be at the
used
state,
for
as could
nefarious
something that
acts
came
as
from a
well.
planet a bit younger than ours,
You can
who
have
just hit their Cambrian
like
or
a
the
fantastic
Apollo mission
program or
10
an
or 20%
item or
faster than
you know,
we
some
did.
piece of
Or
technology
some war that was a
can be
couple
used
billion
for
years
the
older,
betterment
but
of
where
people.
evolution
Yet
ran
at the
10
same
or
time, that
20%
can still
slower.
be, you know,
They
changed around
presumably
to
will be
actually
asking
being
these
more of a
same
harmful
questions,
kind of
and someone
device
had to be
or
it.
technology as
So
well.
maybe it is us,
I mean, as
but
long
if
as
it is,
humans
then it's
are
not
sort
some
of
species that arrived fast and
pushing
gave us
the
only
betterment
recently
of
at a
four
handful of
humans
rocky
forward,
planets like
I
Earth,
think that
but long after
technology
they were common.
realistically has no
By
boundaries
deduction, the
whatsoever.
longer the universe aged,
Yeah,
without
you know,
creating something able to look up the sky
I'm not going to be too
and ponder if
doom
it
and
was
gloom about
alone,
it, right? But
the
there
less
are a
likely
couple
intelligent
scenarios
life
that I
in
see playing
general
out
would be. And
in
for
the
the
world right
apparent
now,
absence we
humanity-wise,
currently
the
observe,
big
no
picture
huge
macro.
K3 empires and galaxies a
Population,
billion light
the
years
majority
away,
of the
those
population and the
odds don't
people who
appear to be
actually have the
super
most wealth
high.
and
But they could be so rare that even were the universe a million times larger than we observe,
the elderly.
we might still have only one sibling
It's
or
just
even
how it
none.
is, right?
We
They're
truly
not
do not
developed with
know,
the technology
but
that exists, and so
ultimately,
it's easier
to
manipulate.
find out, we
At the
must
same
head
time,
into
the birth
space.
rate has
And
also
if the answer
decreased
turns out to be
dramatically,
no, we
leaving
were
then
the first,
generations that
then
are
with
being
all
born
the
right
more
now
urgency
as
to improve the odds, life will
hopefully
flourish
we
in this
recall the
galaxy and
generations
beyond.
that lead to
In
immortality,
case anything
because
should
they might
happen
be some
to
of the last
Earth,
generations
in
that are
the end, the stars
born
are our
from
destiny,
the
whether
normal
we are
ways that
forced or
humans
not.
were reproducing for the last couple thousand thousands of years.
As we head into the holiday
So there's a very
seasons, it's worth
serious,
remembering that it's often as trying a
problem
time
that
as
is
it is
actually
fun.
occurring
And
in
I
that
get reminded of the time the Army sent me
demographic
to
or that
Montana in
concept
December
of
for a few
humanity.
weeks, and I
So
got
that
to
being
learn the
said,
true
right,
meaning of cold, and barely
technology
got on the last flight before a
obviously
storm
being
that would have
much
buried
easier
us
to
in snow
understand
until
in,
after
in the sense
Christmas.
of feeling
Needless
secure
to
using
say,
it,
I
the
was
younger
grateful
generation
for a big
already,
collection of
I think
digital
it'll
audiobooks and
promote the use
headphones,
of technology
especially with some of
even
the
at a higher
snoring in the
grasp,
barracks.
especially,
And if
use
you've ever been stuck in an
AI,
airport waiting
AGI,
for a flight,
which will
you know
then,
how nice it is to
come
have
about
good
and
audio,
just the
whether you're trying to hear a
efficiencies
loved one
for
over the
everyday
crowd
use
noise on
cases.
the
I just
phone,
can't
or just
see.
watching a movie or listening to a
I
book.
can't see the
And a
flywheel
nice pair of
effect not
noise-isolating
only
earbuds from
turning, but
Raycon
turning
is a
faster
great
and
gift for
faster and
yourself
faster.
or a loved one this holiday season. And at half the price of other premium audio brands,
Go
you
ahead, Samantha.
can buy a pair for yourself and as
Oh
a
no,
gift
it
for a
wasn't
loved
really.
one.
I
Their
just
wireless
agree. I agree
earbuds,
with what you're
headphones,
saying. I
and
just,
speakers offer
I've said for a
premium
long time
sound,
that we should
useful
be
features,
teaching
and an almost custom, comfortable fit,
some
and
form
up
of
to 54
IT
hours
skill
of battery
as a
life.
third
They're just
basic
all-around
skill
great
in schools,
earbuds in
right from
terms of
the
quality,
off.
versatility, comfort, and cost.
And
And if you're looking for
sadly, I
gifts,
think a lot of
Raycons are
people
the
are
way
going
to
to get left
go.
behind
And their
if they don't
durability makes them great gifts
embrace
not just for your adult
some of
friends
this
and family, but for kids too.
learning and
Raycons are sleek and
understanding,
stylish and
just
come in
some
a
of the
range of
basic
colors to match
technology,
anyone's
just
style.
to
You
be
can
able to
find
grasp
Raycons in stores now like Kohl's or
what's coming.
Walmart,
Because
but
I
let
think
me
if you
tell you
can't
right now,
understand
you're always
how
going to
to
get the
use your
best deal
phone,
when you use my
or
special
what
link,
an IP address is, or how it
buyraycon.com
connects,
slash
or just some
Isaac
of those
Arthur.
basic
Click
things.
the link in
Oh,
the
that's
description
excuse
box or
my
go to
French. Are you going to
buyraycon.com
get on
slash
with
Isaac
all of
Arthur
this?
to get 15% off
So,
site-wide with the
and I
code
think that
HOLIDAY.
there's a lot
There
of
will also be
naive
new
people out
pop-up
there
deals every day during Raycon's countdown to
sadly are
Christmas,
just not
and I'll try to keep the
even willing
description
to
box
consider.
updated with the latest offers.
Sorry,
But just so you
selfish.
know, you can always go to
No, I was just gonna say,
buyraycon.com slash Isaac Arthur
games of
to get the
play,
best
'cause
deals
people like
available
myself,
on Raycon.
were really not versed in coding
So
and
that's
stuff
it
like
for
that,
us
are now
today,
much
but
more
join us again
confident
this
and
weekend for our
becoming
Sci-Fi
interested
Sunday
and have more
episode on
time on our
interplanetary
hands,
conflicts and
as
civil
time
wars. Then we'll be
progresses.
back here next
A lot of the
Thursday
people
to
that were
contemplate how we might go about farming our new planets like Mars.
unfortunately getting laid
And in
off,
2 weeks, we'll look
or
at the
not working as
controversial
many
idea
hours.
that our
So,
whole universe might be a
like,
black hole.
I'm able to
And
go
also, if it will be possible to retreat into black holes in this universe
they're able to
and
go
live
play
inside
around
them.
and start doing stuff kind of
If
like
you want
Earth
alerts when
music and
those
stuff
and
like that.
other
So
episodes
I
come
think it's
out,
gonna be,
don't forget to subscribe to the
a big
channel and
shift
hit the
in
notifications bell.
re-educating
And
the
if you
entire
enjoyed today's
population, not just the
episode and
people
would
that
like to help
are
support
in the
future
field
episodes,
doing the
please
tech.
visit our website,
Sure. And
isaacarthur.net,
there's a lot of
for
people
ways to
that don't-
donate,
they
or
don't
become a
wanna
show
engage
patron over
with
at
technology
Patreon.
still.
Those
Even
and
if
other
they
options, like our
and
awesome
the
social media
convenience,
forums
there's
for
still-
discussing futuristic concepts,
I
can
know
be
I've got
found
many
in the
friends
links
that
in
are
the
just-
description. Until next time,
they're just
thanks for
blasé,
watching
right?
and
It's
have
just
a great
function
week.
for them, so they don't have an interest in exploring that. Do you know what I mean? It's all right for that past an interest in it.
Well, there's
Worry
gonna be
about it.
yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a like stuff isn't just gonna like stop working. Like people are still gonna be able to walk over to their TV and log on. There's still brick and mortar banks, but as easier for you to just swipe your phone at something,
Lurking
or
within
I mean,
dense
look at how
star
fast
clusters.
things transitioned in the last 20 years
or
just with the
wandering the
smartphone.
dust lanes of the
So
galaxy.
either people are going to the older generation is going to choose,
Where they prey
if we
on
have the whole
stars.
upload scenario, to be uploaded
Or
in,
swallow planets whole.
or they'll decide that they want to pass away. And
Our Milky Way may harbor
there's
millions
going to be a
of
choice,
black
I
holes.
think.
The ultra-dense remnants of dead
I think what also
stars.
changed is probably how
But now, in the
people
universe far
not
beyond
only
our
learn,
galaxy,
but
there's
how
evidence
people
of
engage with
something
new
far
things.
more ominous.
I think the newer generation, or nowadays,
A breed of black
well,
holes
at
that has
least my hope,
reached
I hope that I'm not
incomprehensible
wrong here,
size and destructive power.
is more open to new things, and I hope this carries on to
Just how large
also the higher age
violent
once
and
those people are
strange can they
grow up
get?
and go to their 50s and 60s, that they're still gonna be engaged with new stuff and not kind of freeze on what they learned in their 20s or earlier as a kid. That would be great. Like, this is something for
A
me.
new
I
era in
I
astronomy
see,
has revealed a universe long
I don't know.
hidden
I've
to us.
seen so many videos where I think
High-tech
70
instruments sent into
plus
space
year olds
have been tuned to sense
really diving
high-energy
into
forms of light,
ChatGPT, learning
X-rays and
or
gamma rays
AI
that are invisible to our
diving
eyes
into this
and do not penetrate
really
our atmosphere.
learn very, very quick, like much quicker than probably people
On the
in
ground,
their 20s.
precision telescopes are
This
equipped
is so
with
exciting for me because
technologies
this is my
that
goal.
allow
Actually,
them
like
to
I want to
cancel out
be,
the
you know,
blurring
if I reach
effects of
that
the
age,
atmosphere.
you know, to be still
They are
like that,
peering into the
getting
far
into new
reaches
stuff
of
and
the
learning. Because this
universe
is something I
and
think
into
is
distant cauldrons
also,
of light
in my
and
opinion, at least,
energy.
not anything medical
In
proven or
some
whatever,
distant
but I think this
galaxies,
is really helping
astronomers are
to
now finding
prevent
evidence
stuff like,
that space
you
and
know,
time are being
Alzheimer and
shattered
all these
by
diseases,
eruptions so vast they
to, you
boggle
know,
the mind.
be always fit and, you know, get new things, never rest on the stuff
We are
that you
just
learned,
beginning to
but always
understand
constantly
the
changing,
impact these
learning new
outbursts
stuff,
have had on
keep
the
those
universe,
brain cells moving. I
on
think
the
this is pretty
shapes of
important.
galaxies, the
Sam,
spread
do you
of
remember
elements
that
that
movie?
make
I
up
think it was
stars
from
and
Steven
planets.
Spielberg, where there was there was this
And
elderly
ultimately,
retirement home,
the very
and they
existence
found
of
like
Earth.
this alien pod, and they started getting younger and like playing
The discovery
more.
of what
Oh, yeah,
causes
and
these
Cocoon.
stuff like they did in their
Cocoon.
youth.
has led to a new
Cocoon.
understanding of
like,
cosmic
what
history.
exactly stops people like when they get older from doing that? Usually
Back
like
in
arthritis
1995,
or some
the
kind of
Hubble
breakdown
Space
of the body.
Telescope
Yes,
That's
yes.
was
what we
enlisted
usually
to
stop
begin
playing,
filling
right?
in the
And so
details of
if
that
we
history.
we were able to, yes, baby. So
Astronomers
if we had
selected
that
tiny
capability
regions
of
in the
like
sky
stopping
between the
aging
stars.
or like regression of the cells, the human body,
For days
like
at a
just
time,
like
they
Alzheimer's in
focused
general,
Hubble's
like
gaze
having
on remote
the
regions of
capacity
the
to
universe.
learn at the level of
It's a really interesting point, actually, because if you could create it
These Hubble
in
deep
such a
field
manner,
images
because actually
offered
that's a lovely film,
incredibly
isn't it,
clear
in many
views
ways?
of the
And
cosmos in its
I don't watch
infancy.
many films, and the fact that I knew that film is kind of ironic.
What
because
drew astronomers'
9 times out
attention
of 10 people
were
say
the
things like that to me, and
tiniest
I haven't got
galaxies,
a fucking clue what they're
covering
talking
only
about.
a few pixels
But
on Hubble's
yeah, I
detector.
mean, if I remember rightly, they just swam in a pool with the special cocoon
Most
rock
of them do
thing
not
in the
have
pool,
the
didn't they?
grand
So,
spiral or elliptical shapes
but
of
that's a very
large
different
galaxies we see
proposition,
close to
isn't
us
it,
today.
to the technology of it, and certainly,
Instead,
you know, when you
they
think
are
about having
irregular,
things
scrappy
implanted in your
collections
brain
of
or in your
stars.
body, or you know, that's a whole new level, isn't it? It's not so. If
The
you can
Hubble Deep
somehow
Field
create
confirmed a long-standing
that
idea
film, I think
that the
we'd get
universe
on
must
much
have
better.
evolved in a series of
well,
building
Sam,
blocks,
what if the nanobots were so small
with
that
small
it was,
galaxies gradually merging and
indistinguishable
assembling into larger
from your
ones.
white blood cells or the things that were already taking care of you and kept
You can
young
see
and
evidence of
smart
this
and
pattern by
able
looking
to
out into
be
the universe.
fully integrated into life rather than retiring.
Many
and going
galaxies
to
are
an old home
gyrating
to
around
die.
one
Like,
another.
what
Yeah,
if
no,
it was a little
Some
bit
are
different?
totally
crashing
get what
together.
you're saying. And you know,
Others
I'm not.
ripping each other apart.
You're kind of making me feel like I'm completely alien to it, and I'm not. But it's,
Gravity calls the
just
two
represent
as these galaxies draw together,
I suppose, the older
exchanging
generation
stars and gas,
that is gonna
and over time
struggle to
merging
engage.
to form larger
and
composite galaxies.
I'm much more into this field than, as I say, many people that I know. So it's not that I
This
disagree
came
with
to
it,
be
and I
known
just, but
as
it's
the
just,
hierarchical
it's,
picture of
you know, people
cosmic
are
history,
petrified of
in which
the
the
whole
universe
concept of
evolved
AI
from the ground
alone.
up, with
I've
its
seen that in
structures
spaces
growing
where
larger and larger over
we've
time.
had I can't remember the name of that. Alakusha? No, Akusha. What's the name of the AI? One of the AI bots that comes into the space as a profile.
A
I know you
team
follow a
operating at the
shellfish, do you remember?
Subaru Observatory atop Hawaii's Mauna Kea
I don't remember
volcano,
offhand.
I'm sure you
examined
I'm sure
one
you
of the deepest
retweeted something
galaxies
from
known,
that account earlier today, actually.
whose
But
light
anyway,
has taken nearly 13
just seeing
billion
people's
years to reach
reactions,
us.
and how they deal with that scenario, being
It was
in
a
space
messenger
where they know that
from a time not
profile
long
is
after
being
the
represented
universe
by an
was
AI,
born.
and just it's, you know, there's just
This
pure fear
object
and
is known
panic,
as a
and
quasar,
that's not everybody, of
short
course,
for
but I'm just saying
quasi-stellar
that there
radio
are
source.
people out there that are going to find this really challenging. So anything
A
we can
small region
do
in its
to
center is so
soothe
bright
it
that astronomers
such a
believe
way, like
its light is
the
coming
Cocoon
not
film,
from a collection of stars,
you know, that I thought
but
that was
from a
brilliant
single
idea. So,
object of at
you know,
least a billion times the
100%.
mass
And this
of our
is
sun.
why I'm here, Samantha, right? Because and how I mentioned it, right?
This
One of the
beacon
things I said is
is
the
generated by
sociological
gas
gap,
falling
right?
onto
Because
the
there
object
is, and it's not.
and heating up to
Yes, it has to
extreme
do with the fact that
temperatures.
they are are older, right? But the bigger thing is it's
The
not
only thing
necessarily
known
age,
to
it's the
generate this
input
much
data.
power
The amount
is
of
a swirling
information,
cauldron where
synaptic
space
bridges that
suddenly
they've
turns
built in their
dark
brain
as it
sustains
merges
as such
into
a larger
giant
data
black
input
hole.
for them to say that this is sociologically
For
different
astronomers,
than
the
what my
question
brain
was,
is able to
how did
understand.
this
And so
black
this is,
hole
I
get
say, the
so
biggest
big
rule of
so
thumb
early in
and
the
the
history
easiest
of
way
the
to explain it
universe?
to anyone is if you want to survive in the 21st century, you must learn to
It
learn,
likely got its start
unlearn,
in an
and then
early
relearn
generation of
everything
stars,
you know on a daily
often known
basis,
as
because that truly
population
is
3 stars.
the way that you can be able to say, all right, this isn't scary, this isn't weird,
Made
because
up of
you know
hydrogen, they are
like
thought
how
to
you
have been
use the
hundreds
term,
of times the mass
right?
of the sun.
It's scary because it is. It's fearful. People are fearful of it because they don't understand it, and
These
so
giant
the mind,
stars
if you
burned
can't
hot
understand
and
it
fast
comprehensionally,
and
it's
died
unsafe.
young.
And so things that are unsafe risk our survival normally. I mean, it's just right. You go back to the basics.
A
Of the
star
human
is
mind.
like a
So
cosmic
you're
pressure
right.
cooker.
It is a large gap to go to. There's part
In
of the
its core,
generational thing of
the
why
crush of
technology has
gravity
taken some time
produces
to
such
evolve as
intense
well.
heat.
You know, from swords to bows to whatever it is. There's always some sort of gap where people
At
think,
the moment
this
the
isn't the
star
way I grew
dies,
up, so I
if
don't
enough
necessarily
matter
think
falls
this is
into its
correct in
core,
my mind.
it can collapse to a
By the
point,
way, shout out to
forming a black
in the
hole.
audience to Gumo. I know him actually. He does not know me, but I know him. Shout out to him.
I
Who?
think a
The
few of
first
us do actually.
generations of stars and black
Yeah,
holes
Gumo.
burst onto the cosmic scene in a time of
Gumo.
incredible
I
turbulence.
think he's not German, but I know that he visited the what is it? The Chaos Computer Club.
Within primordial gas
He's
clouds,
inside
in the past.
stars were being
Yeah.
born in dense knots.
But NFT Tempo, sorry, go ahead. I didn't
They
want to
gave
speak
rise
over
to
you.
black holes
It threw us
that
off there
began
for a
to
second, but
swallow
yeah,
more
Yeah,
and
sorry,
more matter.
I didn't want to throw you guys off.
No, all good. Just gonna have to head off this side. I've got a lovely margarita on the go at the minute.
A computer
Before I head off,
simulation
just
of the
a few
early
little bits of
universe
news our side.
shows
So,
just how
yeah, we've
quickly
got our
these voracious
NFT Tempo
monsters
blog
were able
live,
to
so
grow.
that's going to be all the articles and all that good stuff. We've also got our
The
token
project,
IDO this
by
week, so that's the
scientists
first
at
music
Carnegie
utility
Mellon
token on the
University,
XRPL.
was designed
So
to
it's going to be an
recreate a
exciting
region
time
in
there.
the early universe
And
that
lastly,
measured
we've got
over
our artist
100
incentive
million light
program still
years on
live
the side.
until March. So any artist who wants to onboard with us, they'll receive
It
a year of
shows what
0%
took place
transaction fees.
in the
So
first
once again,
1
Death, it's been an
billion
absolute
years
privilege
of
being on
cosmic
tonight, and
history.
I've loved all the conversations.
Always, man. Always a pleasure to have you.
This
And
virtual
Rusty,
universe is
we
set
have
in
Rusty
motion
up.
by
You
equations
haven't gotten to speak yet,
describing
man,
the
but I'd
properties
love
of
to
gas,
hear, even if it's a
the
contrarian
energy released
point of
in
view on
starbirth,
everything we've been
and the
talking
outward
about,
motion
from
of time
AI
and
to the
space.
sociological aspects. Anything you'd like to input,
The
or
result?
change the subject if
An
you would like.
intricate cosmic web with gravity drawing matter into filaments
No,
and
yeah, I
knots,
just,
like
I'm
a
always
vast tangle
in
of
and out of spaces,
interconnected
man, trying to
spiders'
learn.
webs.
I really don't have social media. I just
Inside
downloaded
the
Twitter
densest
so I can keep up
regions
with
is
the
where
lawsuit,
largest galaxies
SEC
and
versus
black
Ripple,
holes
but
grew.
I've had XRP since like
Here,
2017.
circles indicate the appearance
Unfortunately,
of black
most
holes
of the time
deep
it's
in the data.
spent on Coinbase, and I'm currently waiting for them to release my flare, but
As they
instead of
gain
waiting,
weight
I went ahead
by
and
eating up their surroundings,
bought some.
the circles grow
And I
larger.
was gonna wrap it or do how delegate it, whatever they did. I
A
see most
few
people are
in the
using
largest
Bifrost,
galaxies
so
reach
I was
ultra-massive
just
proportions,
more of a question.
billions of
Wanted
times
to
the
know,
mass of the sun.
is that the best option, Bifrost? And then say if I did
These black
wrap
holes were not
what
just
I have now,
swallowing gas.
if Coinbase does eventually give me what's mine, could I also
The orbiting
add
Chandra
that
X-ray
to the
Observatory
total
was dispatched
of it
to
being
look
wrapped,
into
so I make
distant
sure I get,
galaxies for black holes
you
on
know,
growth spurts.
I guess I wouldn't say the
Scientists
other
look for
85%
pockets
would
of
just
gas
be able to
and
benefit the
stars
most from
glowing hotly
You would get
in
it
it
X-ray
being
light.
delegated or wrapped.
Yeah, correct. It would just be like a compounding
What
percentage
Chandra
on top
found
of that.
was that the core of
technically
some
wise.
distant galaxies
If per se,
contained
like
hot
if you were to
pairs,
match or double
twin
your
supermassive
initial
black
holdings,
holes
right,
drawn
whatever
together
percentage
by
of
gravity.
the pool would technically go up comparably to what everybody else
Black
was holding.
holes by nature
I would say this
resist
though,
this
technical
dark
wise, right?
matter.
Wallet, I like Bifrost way more
As
than
the
I
two
like
approach
MetaMask.
each other,
You can use
they
your
go into
ledger
an orbit
or
that could
DSET,
last
I'm pretty sure,
virtually forever.
to hold it on cold storage still, and then bridge through MetaMask.
To learn what
But
allows
I
them
personally
to
do
merge,
not like the
we
MetaMask
go back to
wallet
the ideas
for a
developed
few
by
reasons.
Albert Einstein.
It's owned by Consensus, which already sold the rights to Infra and MetaMask to
He said
JP
that when
Morgan
massive
illegally.
bodies
Right there, in the middle of
accelerate
a
or
lawsuit with
whip
this
around each other,
Swedish law
they
right now.
literally disturb the fabric of space,
And then also MetaMask has always leaked
causing
your
it to
your
ripple
DNS,
like a
which
disturbance
is your
on a pond.
domain name service, right?
When these ripples move outward, they carry with them the energy of the pair's orbit,
which is
causing them
basically
to
leaking your
closer.
information in some put, because your DNS is if it's the DNS to your phone,
When
which is
this
what it's
dance
leaking.
of death comes
If you
to
bought
an
your
end,
phone, right, they know who you are.
that's when the pair
for every
joins
transaction.
together
And
to
on
form
top
a
of that,
larger
if you're
black
not using
hole.
a VPN, they are also have already told you that if you use their wallet, they're leaking your IP address. So, two things I don't like them for there.
Who is
That
doing
moment
that?
may be approaching
MetaMask.
for a quasar called OJ287
Oh, MetaMask. Oh, yeah.
at 3.5
Right, yeah.
billion light years away.
Yeah, thank you for that. I
Flare-ups in
just
the surrounding
wanted
region
to,
have led
kind of reassure myself.
astrophysicists to
I'm a
conclude
dinosaur.
that another black
I've been around
hole
since
is
Gateway
flying
Computer and
around it.
AOL. I'm pretty sure that's what Discord is, but I love to have it. But
By
I just,
measuring the giant's gravitational hold on its
I
companion,
grew up on the streets. Man. I
astronomers
don't use
estimate its
computers or
mass
social media
at
too much
18
because I
billion
don't need
solar masses.
to be telling on myself. It's not
For
that
a
I don't know how
time,
to use technology. I just use it as
was
least
the
as
largest
possible.
black hole ever detected.
Yeah, see, but see a good example for what
It no
Samantha was
longer
saying
is.
though earlier. And still, that's perfect that you
Deep
were
in
in
the
space
heart
though,
of
man.
the
That's
Coma
just
galaxy cluster,
sometimes life
a
works out
mere
very oddly.
321
I would also say this
million light years
Bifrost is
away,
actually built by
lies
Togo
a giant
Labs, which is
elliptical
one of
galaxy
the UNL
known
operators
as
on the XRP ledger for many
NGC
years.
4889.
And they are also behind XRP Toolkit.
Astronomers
XRP
use
Toolkit,
several
which
large
is my favorite
telescopes
service
to measure the
use
speed
the
at which
ledger with.
stars
But
are
go ahead, Chuck.
orbiting around the
Yeah.
center.
So I think. Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead,
They
Rusty. I'll
use
wait
that
until after
data
you're done.
Oh
to
no, it's all right.
calculate
I
the
was just
mass
saying,
of the central
how
object.
everybody sees NFTs as just a PFP,
A
but really
whopping
it's a receipt of
21
transaction.
billion solar
I don't think that
masses,
people
give or
have
take
completely,
a few billion.
it's just.
Theoretically, there are no limits to how much weight a black hole
Did
can
he rug,
gain.
or is that just me?
He's rugging for me too.
He's rugging.
And yet, even the largest
Well,
black holes
while we're waiting
and
for
their
him,
host galaxies
Samantha, I think you
seem
were
to
the one that
obey
was having
limits.
an issue with. Was it you or was it Kay that said that they were holding off on getting any
What holds them
NFTs or
back has to
wallets
do with the
because
way
you were
clusters of galaxies
just
evolve,
uncomfortable
a
with them,
pattern
and
long
you had
noted
an
by
issue before?
scientists.
Like,
That
was it
may
Kay?
have been Kay,
Kay, okay.
maybe. I'm
Maybe
not sure.
I should try to get
This
her into one of
computer
these
simulation
groups.
I
shows
think
the
she,
evolution of a galaxy cluster in the
Alberto
early
gave her
universe.
an NFT for her birthday, but hasn't transferred it because she's got to get the
The
wallet or
gravity
something.
of the entire
I'm not
region
sure. She's
draws small
not
galaxies by
massively
the
into that.
thousands, along
I
with
don't
great
think.
streams of
So
gas
one of the
into
cool
the
things, and
center.
I'm like so gonna butcher how it works, but like on the
So why
XRP
doesn't the
ledger,
central
you can
galaxy
actually put
and the
your
black hole that
NFTs
resides
on there,
within
and
it
it's like
capture
secured.
all this matter?
Am I saying
Why
it right?
don't they
Better
swallow
than,
the entire
wallets?
cluster?
Better, Jeff. Can you explain it better?
You can see the
I'm
answer
sorry, what was that?
in a region
The
called
NFTs that are on the actual ledger, like
MS0735.
they're a little bit more secure, correct?
On the
2.5
XRP ledger,
billion light
comparably
years away,
to like an
it
EVM
appears in visible
based
light
Right.
to be a typical
Yeah,
galaxy cluster.
So you could
It's
even
actually a record as opposed to some of the exchanges
In X-ray light,
with the NFTs.
you can
Obviously,
see
just
that
doing
it's
it.
enveloped in a cloud of hot gas,
Apparently, doing it in the
measured
background
at nearly
to
50
save on gas
million
fees.
degrees.
Is that what you mean?
well, no. I mean,
Hollowed
an
out of
exchange
this
would be
cloud
like a
are
database,
two
right? They have their own
immense
Yes.
cavities,
database. So
up to
blockchain, you would
600,000 light
consider
years across.
a system that is using a
That's
token
enough room in
for
each
some sort of
to
security
stuff
aspect
600
to
galaxies the size of our
right,
Milky
only
Way.
allow transactions to move in a singular direction. The information to be stored.
Now
An
add in
NFT
a
is just
radio
a
image of the
non-fungible
cluster.
token. The best way to think
You
of
can
it is
see
it's just
two
a
vast
cryptographically
streams of
created
matter
token with
pushing
a
out from the center.
singular cryptographically created
That's
ID,
a giveaway
right?
that the cavities were
long string
formed
of characters
by an eruption
that
in the core of the giant
just
central
points
galaxy.
to an off-chain object. So it just essentially holds
Two
information
jets
that points
shooting
to
out of
a
a central
URL.
black hole
That's
have
the
launched
baseline
blast
of
waves
what
that
an
plow
NFT
through the gas that
functionally
makes up
acts
the
for.
intergalactic medium.
The XRP ledger has NFT functionality built into the layer 1
The energy
protocol,
it took
so
to
that
carve out
everybody
these
using
X-ray
the exact
cavities is
same standard of
remarkable.
code. So in the sense of like attack vectors, it's a lot lower of a scale of attack vector that's
The
possible.
equivalent of
They're also
several billion
account based, and
supernovae,
so
according to
every
one
account on the
calculation.
XRP ledger can only authorize transactions through singular means. Like nobody else can authorize a
In
transaction
fact, MS
for you. You can't give anyone permission to do
has
so,
been
so it's a
referred
little
to
bit more secure.
as the
However,
largest single eruption
there
recorded
are
since the Big
some
Bang.
functionality differences between what you could do on like
It was
your
generated by a
Ethereum
black
or
hole that
other
weighs in at
EVM
around
smart
10
contract enabled
billion solar
networks.
masses.
Some more stuff you'll be able to functionally do with an NFT, rather than just the tokenized aspect of the information pointing to an off-chain source.
Black hole jets like this have
Yeah, it's
been
also a
seen
different
all around
paradigm.
the universe,
You
including
have,
in our own
as I
cosmic
said, no smart
neighborhood.
contracts. Therefore, it's a bit more not strange, not difficult.
This
It's not
is the
definitely not
famous
difficult, but
M87 galaxy
different
at the center of the
these
Virgo
other
galaxy
chains
cluster,
to code.
around 50 million light years away.
That's very true too. Yeah, EVM would be in Solidity, where the XRP ledger you could do C++,
Astronomers have been
Python,
intensively
JS,
studying the black
Go,
hole that lurks
which
in
I'm
its
seeing.
heart,
Yeah, the underlying is
and recently
is C++.
estimated its mass
I think all
at
are
6.6
because of the,
billion solar
performance
masses.
advantages. But
It powers a pair of
all the
high-powered
libraries.
jets
Yeah, it has
that
like
are
a vast
plowing
amount
through
of
the
libraries
galaxy.
because, and it is possible because the
But how does a
XRPL
black
is
hole,
actually really
a creature famous
just
for hiding in the
API
dark,
calls. So
emit this much
you
energy?
just basically just API calls, and you can wrap it
Think
around
of a
your
black
own
hole
stuff
as the
and
eye
do
of a
some data
cosmic
manipulation,
hurricane,
and that's it.
kept rotating
Where on the
by all
EVM
the
you will
stars,
deploy something
gas, and
like a
other
smart
black holes that
contract
fall into it.
that's get run on the
As this
the
matter
EVM,
flows in, it
which you
forms
don't
a
have.
spinning
It's
donut-like
essentially a second
feature
layer, right?
called an
Like,
accretion
really,
disk.
Yeah, which makes it
works
actually
like a
really
dynamo.
easy to develop on the XRPL because as I said,
The
it's just
spinning motion
API
of the
calls
disk
and
generates
data
magnetic
manipulation,
fields
and that's it, which makes
that
it
twist
super
around
easy.
and channel some of the inflowing matter
Exactly.
out
Nunks, welcome
into a
coming
pair
up,
of
man. Raising your
high-energy
hand. Go ahead.
beams or jets.
Wow. Happy Monday. I'm getting a deja vu from a Friday space
How
call.
much
Outer
energy
space I was in.
depends
What's
on
up,
the
guys?
black hole's gravity and how
What's
much
up,
matter
Hey, how are you
has
doing?
already crashed
Hey,
through the event
really
horizon.
good topic today, dude. I'm actually, ironically,
Is
Jeff,
this
I'm
just
actually
another
doing
frightening spectacle
something
of
that I
nature?
haven't done before. I'm
Or
going
is it
to.
part of a more
I've been
profound
inspired
process
by
of work?
your Internet of Value and your AI talks.
The largest black
So
holes in the
your
universe
NFT
probably
that you
rose
won the other
between
day,
10
it's
and
actually
12
going to
billion
be
years ago.
AI generated
The age of
X-Nunks.
the
So it'll be the
quasars.
first one minting on the XRPL.
By
Will
releasing
be
energy
your
in the
AI
form of
generated
jets,
X-Nunks.
they
So
heated up their surrounding
really
regions.
stoked, man. Like I said, you guys
This prevented gas from
started with
collapsing
Becky
into
doing
the
her
central
thing with
galaxy
AI, and then
and allowed
Shellfish
smaller
and
galaxies on
Vet
the
and
periphery
Death. Like
to form
it's
and
so
grow.
good you guys are doing this and sharing this with even like
But
me
the
that still
impact of the black
have an
holes did
AOL
not stop
install
there.
disk. Maybe Rusty has one of those
This
bad
Chandra
boys still.
image of the
But
Hydra A
I
galaxy cluster
ironically
shows
kept a
the
collection
same
of all
immense
that
hot
stuff
cavities,
from
glowing
back in
in
the day,
X-ray
because I
light,
thought maybe one day,
as well as
you
a
know,
jet
like with
blasting
Warhol,
out of its
he
central
kept all his
galaxy.
stuff, and it's really inspired a lot of new artists.
Gas along the
So I
edge
did
of
the
the
same
jet
thing for the
was found to
internet
contain
stuff.
high levels of
And I
iron
continue
and
to
other
do it
metals,
with you guys, man.
probably
Like I said,
generated by
inspired by
supernova
the AI talk,
explosions in the
and
center.
then I'm implementing that in the NFT giveaway from outer space. So stoked to death.
By
Like I said,
pushing
I'm
these
hooking you up
metals
and
into
doing a cool
regions
one.
beyond,
Doing it as
a
we
black
speak,
hole
actually.
seeded more distant
But
galaxies
just want to say hi.
with
Love
the
the
elements
combo
needed
today.
to form stars and
Wow,
solar
man, you're
systems
so
like
sweet,
ours.
and I do thank you. It was awesome. I won that contest, so although it was
The black
for
holes
everyone
in
who wanted
these
to know,
more
it was
remote
guessing a number
galaxies
contest, and
then seeded
I
their
had
own
read his mind, so I
environments.
cheated a little bit. But no, I got the number on the dot. It was pretty cool, and I always
This
like
is
being
what might
first.
be
You know,
happening in
I'm not one that
Centaurus A,
necessarily
also
likes the
known
way that
as
we
the
use NFTs
Hamburger
today,
Galaxy.
right? The way that we have them for pictures, but I do attach to people,
In X-rays,
and
you can see
I
a
love
jet
it for things like
erupting
that.
from
When I
the
get like
center.
a first, and you're doing that for me, it's just so cool, man. So I really do thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And of course, I'll
Peering
do.
through the dense dust lanes
A lot
that
of people,
dominate our line of sight,
talking to Samantha, a lot of
astronomers have
people
come to
think
believe
the
that it's
NFTs are
actually
just
two
PFPs,
galaxies
but there's
in
a
the
lot
act
of artists,
colliding.
Samantha, that are taking and
This computer
producing them as
simulation
artwork.
shows the effect
So
of
I,
such a
like
merger
anybody
on
that
black
ever gets a
holes.
1-1, I provide a printable
As the two
PDF.
galaxies
I've been
pass
doing
by
that
each
for,
other,
I don't know,
the
2 or
pull
3
of
years.
gravity disrupts
So it
their
does have a
spiral shapes,
utility, and
forcing
most people
huge
think a
volumes of
utility
gas
is like
into
a
their
staking
cores.
process or something. But is if you're just an artist selling an
As the
NFT,
black holes begin to
it's
feed,